Oh, how's your weekend been?
It went by fast, dude. It seemed like this weekend was just yeah, it just seemed like it didn't even happen.
Yep, that is true. Same here. Seemed like I didn't get anything done. I wanted to do some stuff, but I didn't get anything done.
I know. Me neither really. Went with a buddy yesterday that he wanted to he my buddy Jesse down here, man. He loves to go into the casino and all that. So he asked me to go with him yesterday. They were doing like a drawing. So I went there with him, man. I'm not a gambler, but went and just had dinner and hung out and it was cool. Yeah, that
Nice.
was yesterday, man. So nothing exciting in today. Getting all of our tax stuff ready, which is always awesome.
Yeah, I don't like that stuff. Thankfully, Nikki takes care of it all at the very first. As soon as she gets her returns and stuff, she's like right away. So we got it, I think the first week of February. We got our return. So
Oh, dang, you guys are on top of it, man. We're procrastinators.
I am too, but she's not. She was like, we're as soon as she got her W twos, and she was like, okay. Next day, she was already filling stuff out and sending it out. So,
That's
but
awesome.
she's got the house and stuff like that because the house is in her name, so she has to wait for all that paperwork to come so she can file it, and we get some kind of exemption for homesteading or something. So yeah, I just let her deal with it. So
Nice,
pretty easy.
nice, man.
Yeah. So I was thinking about this the other day. I was like, you know what? A good subject I think we could talk about was role models. And you're the first person I thought of because of
Oh,
what you've accomplished, what you've done for the last, what was that, like 10 years or so?
uh,
Um,
through basketball.
yeah, through the basketball thing.
Yeah,
And I think it's such a powerful story, and the things that you've accomplished, I think, is something to be told, and it's something to look at and admire, and just I think it was definitely something I wanted to talk about, and so that's why I wanted. Was like, you know what, this episode is going to be about role models, the importance of it, the good versus the bad, stuff like that. So first, let's just start where you started this whole idea about the be legendary thing.
so, man, basketball has always. I fell in love with basketball when I was like 12, and literally from 12 years old to right now, I'm 45. Like the love has never. I think it's gotten stronger over the years, man. And so, basketball was always like for me. If I was going through hard times or if anything was going on, like basketball is always what I went to. I went to the basketball court. I could free my mind. Nothing else mattered. I was just on the court playing, doing something that I absolutely loved, and like literally, there was no other thought in my mind, and so it was my escape, man. Um, and so it was literally like that forever, man. I mean, I played on men's leagues and stuff in my 30s, and when I was in my 20s, I'd go to Bally's pretty much literally 5 days a week, 6 days a week, played basketball. Zeke,
Nice.
you know Zeke.
Yep.
He'd go up there and he played. I mean, for years he'd go up there with me, man, and then just lots of different friends, man. Met a lot of really cool friends too, through basketball and stuff over the years that I still stay in contact with. But yeah, basketball was just kind of my escape, bro. It was just it's what I could do when life or the world sucked, you know what I'm saying? Or there was this
Yeah.
stuff going on that I didn't like. You just want to clear your mind, man. And so the basketball court was that for me, bro. And yeah, man. I started coaching my son when he was in kindergarten. And then again in first grade, then in second grade, and then I want to say it was third grade, man. I was just like a lot of the kids, man, were, wanting to play more basketball than just our little 2 month season through the elementary school. And so I started Be Legendary. Um, Man, and it was just something for me to. I just saw kids like I didn't want kids to grow up the way I did, man, when I was real young. Where I lived when we moved to Oregon, we lived in Beaverton, which is kind of like we were just on the outskirts of Hillsboro,
Yeah.
and tons of gangs out there, man. When I was young, and two of my really good friends, their sister hung out with a lot of these they were Mexican, so they hung out with a lot of these Mexican gangs like the North Daniels and all of that, man. And so when I was growing up, as stupid as it was, I thought that stuff was cool because their older sister hung out with all these dudes who were older than us, and they always seem to have cool stuff, and you know what I mean. And so I kind of as a young kid looked up to that stuff, and it's wrong. I shouldn't have, but that's just what was right there in front of me every single day. And so I guess going back to the basketball thing now is I just didn't want kids to think that that stuff was cool, so I tried keeping them away from that, because where we lived in Spanaway, man, you know,
Yeah.
going to Spanaway Lake High Schools where I graduated, it was known for their gangs, and it was known for that kind of lifestyle. And um, when I moved back to Washington, same thing, man. Went to Spanaway Lake. 96 is when I first started going to that school. Well, actually, 95, the 95, 96 year. And I mean, yeah, man, you already know how it is there, bro. It's
I remember. Yeah, I remember. I was in Spanaway Lake High School, and the movie Colors came out, and it split our school right in half. And you started seeing people wearing blue, started seeing people wearing red. That's when I started hearing about drive-by shootings and stuff in our neighborhoods.
all the
Yeah,
time.
there was all the time. It just exploded. And so, but yeah, I definitely know Spanaway. It's like the back of my hand.
So it's like that, you know, I just didn't want kids to go down that path. I wanted them to have, I guess, be occupied with other things, so that, you know, the old saying, idle hands are the devil's playground. And so if these
Very
kids aren't
true.
doing nothing, if they're not doing anything and they're just chilling, I just was like, because that's all I did. I didn't play sports really until I got to be about 12, 13. Actually, is when I, you know, fell in love with basketball. I played soccer when I was like 8 years old, man. But I mean, I think every kid
That
played
was my
soccer.
sport. That was my sport.
I
I've
think
been
that was
playing it
like
since 6 years old. I think I played it all through high school. So track and soccer were my two sports.
nice, nice. And I mean, that was like the thing that, from what I remember from childhood, is that that's what all the kids did, man. Soccer was the first sport, or t-ball.
Yeah.
And it was just, those are the two sports you played first, man. And so I did that. And yeah, man. But basketball, man, when I first put that basketball in my hand, I was 12 years old, man. This is funny too, is went to a new school, and it was like one of the first days at recess, man. And we're outside, and I think I was fifth grade. I don't know, maybe sixth grade, something like that. But anyway, we're out at recess, and there was like the cool kids. We're all playing basketball, and so I kind of stood over there. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
because you know, you pick teams and all that, and so they didn't know who I was, and so I got picked. If I remember correctly, probably close to last. You know what I'm saying? The new kid there, not nobody knew anything, no, didn't know me. I never really played hoop before that, and it's funny, bro. But the first time they passed me the ball, I didn't want the ball in my hand, so I just shot it. I just threw the ball up, bro. It went in. it
Nice.
it went in. It's first shot, bro. Just threw the ball up. My form was horrible. Like, it was, you know what I mean. But I was like, I don't want this ball. I don't want to mess up.
Yeah.
So I shot it. Went in, bro. Kids were all like, "Oh, cool," you know, and gave me a high five. And I was like, "Yeah, this is awesome." And so we were passing it around. They passed it to me again. I didn't want it again. Shot it. I'm not kidding you, bro. It was like 3 or 4 in a row. Just made them. Boom, boom, boom. And so all the kids were like, "Oh, we're picking him every time." And so it was like, "Oh, dude, this is awesome." And then the second day we played, it didn't go like that again.
Beginner's luck ran out.
Dude, it was like it was supposed to happen that way for me to be able to make friends. You know what I'm saying? Because it was like
That's
that
true.
day. You know what I mean? And so it's like
Yeah.
it happened for a reason, bro. But from there on out, it wasn't so pretty.
Yeah. I remember when this was fifth grade. I think it was fifth grade. I was probably one of the tallest kids in the school,
Mhm.
and I played basketball for 2 seasons, and I liked it. But then everybody started getting taller than me, and I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm a runner, so I stuck with soccer. But yeah, by high school, yeah, everybody was so much taller than me because I was like 5'5" in fifth grade, and I grew maybe another inch and a half, and that was it. I stopped all through high
Yeah.
school, junior high, and high school. I was like, all right, basketball's not my thing. I'm a runner and I'm a soccer player and a track star. So I was like, but basketball was fun. My parents put up a basketball hoop at our house across the street from Randy's, and I remember playing horse all the time, just shooting
Oh
shooting hoop
yeah.
all the time. So it was fun, but I never caught into it. I drifted off to soccer. I think that was my thing. So
Nice, man. I mean, I think my first actual basketball coach, I played on a it was like on a tournament team, travel team. It wasn't for the
yeah,
school or anything. And I was, yeah, 13 maybe, something like, I don't remember. It was 12, 13. And I remember that coach, he was just, he stuck out in my head, man. He was really cool. And since that was my first team I'd ever been on, I was kind of nervous going to the first tournaments and all that. I'd never been on a team before, and these other kids were really good. And I didn't play so confident in those first couple of tournaments. And I remember like, dude, I remember like it was yesterday. We were at his house and we all would get together up there. He had a really nice hoop. So all of us would go up there and play basketball with his son in the front yard on this hoop. And then I was killing it, like just, doing really, really well. And so he came out to me and he was like, man, where's this version at? How, what's going on here versus out on the, during the tournaments and stuff. And I'm just like, I couldn't answer it. I was like, I don't know. And he's like, are you just more comfortable here because you're with all your buddies and there's no refs and there's no people in the stands and there's no attention and all that. And I was like, that that could be it. Maybe that is it. And so then the next tournament we went to was kind of the same thing, just a little, didn't wasn't in my comfort zone. And so we had a few talks like that. And then after, man, I just became comfortable with it and started doing really well. And I never forget that talk though. You know what I mean? He was just like, man, what he made me answer these questions. He was just like, what's different? What is different versus this versus being on that court inside the gym versus being outside, being here, he's just asking me all these questions, man, and made me answer them. And it was cool. And then it kind of dawned on me that I'm like, man, it's not, there isn't anything different. It's still the same. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So yeah, confidence grew and then it just literally started from there, man. For me, for the love of basketball, but then, back to Be Legendary was, again, I started it, man, just so that so they would have something to do, man, so that they could belong to a team, have a family. That's what basketball is to me, is we're all brothers, man. We're a family out there on the court fighting for each other, battling for each other. And that's all it was, man. Just giving kids confidence, because that coach just had those couple of talks with me and it boosted my confidence, and so that's the biggest thing, man. Just keeping kids off the streets, dude. Because yeah, I just hearing some of the kids talk like in first and second grade, I'm like, they're just so young to be talking the way they are talking and knowing terms. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
terms that these kids shouldn't know in first and second grade and stuff like that, what these things are. And so I'm just like, man, let's keep them, and so that's when we started year round too. And so it was awesome. And I got really, really blessed over there, man, with lots of gym space. And this is something else that's really cool, man, is Randy's friend. Randy hooked me up with one of his friends, and she owned some Domino's pizza.
Oh yeah,
What do you call it? You know how you can
it's a franchise.
thank you.
Yeah.
She had a couple of Domino's franchises. Yes. I don't want to say her name just in case. I don't know if she wants me to or not.
No, I know who you're talking about. I know who you're talking about.
Okay. And
Yeah.
so I met her. Randy hooked it up, man. So made the introduction. I went to the pizza place that she has that was on Tacoma Pacific, and like I think it was like 88th and Pacific or something like that. So I went there, met up with her. She started talking, asking me a bunch of questions about what I'm doing and why I'm doing it and what's the reasons and all blah. Next thing you know, she became our sponsor, bro. Literally, she bought all of our jerseys for everybody on the team, paid for like our first, I don't know how many tournaments. And so she got us off the ground and got us going, man. And then she made like another donation. Can't remember how long after that, maybe a year, something like that. She donated again. But yeah, man, it was super cool. And again, Randy introduced me to her. You know what I'm saying? So like, she helped me get this thing off the ground, because it was something else too. Like in Spanaway, it's some of the parents and families didn't have a lot of money, and basketball's expensive. You got to pay for tournaments, you got to pay for travel, you got to pay for the jerseys, you got to pay for basketballs, you got to pay for drinks, you got like pay to get into these things, to watch your kids play. So it's expensive, man. And so my thing was, is I always tried in the beginning to make it free. And so I did, man, it was a lot of hard work, man, but I was out getting donations from people and fundraising and all that. And so it was pretty dang cool, man, that, yeah, it was free, bro.
Very nice. So you
Yeah.
think so? The point of role models that well, who was your role model growing up? Was it that coach that sparked you
He
into doing this?
he was probably one of them, but we moved so much, man. Literally, we moved every year, so I only played for him for one season.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, he was definitely one. Um, I mean, outside of my family, parents and stuff like that, the dude, I mean, it was mostly just I don't even know. Michael Jordan. You know what I mean? I don't know, man. Like I don't think I really had many role models like that, man. I moved so much and it was just always getting into something new. So it's like I never was in a place long enough to make real connections like that, with
Yeah.
people for a long period of time. And so I was kind of on my own a lot, man, and just yeah, we literally like we moved every year, man. Literally every single year from the time I was 8 years old all the way until I was 16. So for those 8 years, every year we moved, new school, new city, sometimes a new state. Um, so role models were, I don't know, few and far between. And then when we moved to Spanaway, started hanging out with the wrong crowd and people I probably shouldn't have hung out with that weren't good role models. And so I just didn't want the kids to go through that, man, and go down the wrong path. Cause again, in practices and stuff like that, man, I just hearing these kids talk and the terms they would use and the things that they would say was like, you guys are too young for that, man. Like you shouldn't even know what that is yet. Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
there's definitely a big difference between bad role models and good role models. And
Yep.
luckily, I did have good role models. I mean, I had my dad, I had my grandparents. I had my best friend at the time, who's my kind of like my older brother Eric, who I've known since I was 6.
Mm-hmm.
So those guys are definitely the ones who kept me, I guess, going in the right direction. Those are the guys that I looked up to. My grandfather was born, I think, in the late 20s, so he's part of that greatest generation.
Mm-hmm.
And just growing up, that's why I'm a truck driver, is because of him. He was a truck driver for God 35, 40 years, something like that. So I fell in love with trucks because of him. I I looked up to him because he was what we should be as men. That's what I was told, and that's what I was taught. And
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of younger people these days don't have positive role models to look up to anymore.
I
And I
agree.
think what you're doing with Be Legendary, I think that is such a I guess a unicorn in the world that we need more stuff like that. Because I've seen you over the last, ever since you started it. I see all the pictures, I see the videos, I see just all the things that you've accomplished, and I see all these kids just they're growing up to be good young men. And it's
Yeah.
because, in my opinion, you as a role model turn those kids into men. They into good young men, and they're positive. And that story you told me a few weeks ago about that kid's birthday party and you and Jordan stepping up, I was just like,
Yeah.
that's what it's about. That's role models. That's positive, I guess, energy for people. And we need so much more of that because we got so many bad role models out there, and I see them every day on these YouTube videos, on TikTok videos, and all these bad guys that are all about money and power and fame and just trying to be, just a badass, an alpha male. And I think that sends a wrong message to people these days. And I know because I see a lot of guys out there and younger kids, they're they need role models, but they're just for some reason there's just not a very good supply of them. And I'm trying to figure out why that is. Is it just because there's just lack of other good men like our age and older that just never stepped up, or is it again? I think it's technology too. I think technology is so easy to get on TikTok and see all these guys, these 20-year-olds that are millionaires because they made a stupid TikTok video. And I was like, that's and unfortunately that's what people look up to. It's like, well, that's the easy money. They got the lifestyle, they got the houses, they got all the chicks, they got that's I think we're losing our core values because of technology and these fake guys that you need to look up to.
I think technology has a lot to do with it, man. I really do. I think kids they don't really care about much of anything except for getting on their video games, getting on their TikToks and their social media and all this stuff. And I think that has a huge detriment to how kids are turning out now, man, because that's what's raising them.
Yeah.
Stuff that they see on, like you just said, like on their TikToks and stuff, these just complete assholes out there, man. And they're making it look cool to be an asshole. They're making it look cool to do stupid stuff. Like some of these challenges that, you'll see on here that you just go up to random people and just do things that, I mean, back in our day, man, like when we were kids, you would go up to, bro, you're getting your ass whooped. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you go and do some stuff like that to somebody. Like we had a saying that back when we were kids is, talk shit, get hit. Like
Yeah.
that's what it was. You did stupid stuff like that, probably going to catch an ass whooping, man. And nowadays it's like you got these kids doing these stupid, I don't even know what their challenges or what they're called or whatnot, but they're like, they see something that's trending on these social media things. And so then all these kids are out doing it and kids end up getting killed because of it. Shot.
Unfortunately. Yep.
Yeah, man. And it's like, who started that? Like, who thought that was cool? Who thought that being like that was cool? And then turn around and showing it to these young kids and having them imitate that. It's like, it's just wrong, man. It's like, what are we doing, dude? I
Yeah.
think those, honestly, like, I think those people that do those videos and start those things and then put it out there, honestly, bro, I think they should be held responsible for what happens. You know what I'm saying? If they're the ones
Yeah.
that started, like if I was to post a video of going and just walking by somebody, right, and then just hitting them for no reason and then running off, and that became a trend, if somebody gets hurt, that person, in my opinion, that person that created it, that's on you, man. You're showing to these young kids or showing to people that are just kind of stupid that that's cool and that's fun to do. And you got all these kids trying it, man. It's dumb. It's like, what are we doing?
Yeah. The thing is, I think we don't, like I said, we have a lack of good role models. So what these younger kids are looking at is anybody. They're looking, they sick desperately want a good person to look up to. I mean, we just don't have them, and definitely technology has replaced that. I think it's replaced the good guys going outside and doing like you're doing, putting the footwork in, starting this basketball thing, being one on one with the kids, being right there in person, talking to them, being there for them. Um, and that's, it starts at the home, unfortunately. And like we discussed last time, it was people just put a iPad or something in front of the kid's face,
Yep.
get them out of their hair because they're doing something else. Here's your iPhone, here's your cell phone. Play on that while we're doing this. While we're, the kids are not getting out to play. They're not making those relationships, those friendships, and so unfortunately, there's that vacuum there, and there's guys out there, and there's a whole host of them on YouTube and all these other social media platforms, and they're trying to be the tough guy, the alpha males, like the Andrew Tates. Again, Andrew Tate's got a lot of good stuff that he says, but there's a lot of
Yeah.
other shit that I don't agree with.
Yep.
I
It
can
goes
list
both ways with me
those
too.
both
I
ways.
like some of it. Can't
Yeah,
stand some of it.
but there's some guys that are just they're all bad, and
Yeah.
unfortunately, a lot of guys because they make the loudest sounds and they make the most noise. Those are the guys that get noticed the most, and those are the guys that kids are looking up to these days. And then it's just a snowball effect. Is that over the years they start making the same choices, they start acting the same way, and their life turns to shit. And it's like so. I'm trying to figure out how in the hell can we change that? Can we even change that?
What it takes, bro, is just people to care, bro. People like you right now saying the things that you're saying and trying to, do a podcast about it, maybe to reach other people. And then it takes people. It takes people that want to change things and don't want kids to go down wrong paths and stuff like that, man. It takes somebody that doesn't want a kid to grow up the way they did, maybe, or
Yeah,
go through things that they did and make dumb mistakes and make dumb decisions, hang out with the wrong people. And if you can curve that early in life, man, then it gives them a lot better chance to be super successful later. So when we moved down here, there was a couple of girls I've been training since they were seventh, eighth grade, and they're graduating this year. One of them again, don't want to say names. I don't know if they want to be named or not, but she kind of fell out of love with basketball and kind of lost her motivation and kind of lost all that. But she still liked the game and she still wanted to play, but she was having a hard time finding that love and keeping that the inspiration. You know what I mean? So her parents hit me up and asked if I would start working with her, and it's like, yeah, of course, no problem, man. And so the very first training session, me and her talked. We kind of went off to the side, and I was like, so what's your story? What's, talk to me. What's going? What do you want to accomplish here? What do you want from me? And so it was really cool, man. She just said basically same thing her parents told me. She lost the love for the game. She still likes the game. She's trying to rekindle that flame,
Yeah.
fall in love with it again. She had gone through some hard things with basketball with other people. And so basically, I just told her, I was like, I'll be here to help you no matter what. But I said, there's going to be times you're going to hate me. There's going to be times you're going to not like what we're doing here. But I was like, stick with it and trust the process. You know what I mean? And she literally looked me straight in my eyes, shook my hand, and was like, whatever you say, I got, like, no problem. I'm here. Let's go. Let's get to work. So I was like, okay. And then, man, it was like from day one, dude. She was a hard worker. Just did really, really well, man. Found that love again, started killing it at high school on her high school team. Yeah, man, it was awesome, dude. And then to hear her later on, talking to her parents, and then her mom would call me and tell me, oh man, she said this and this, and it's just hearing the thank you. You know what I mean? I was really proud of Be Legendary, and then up here it's called OCH for Oregon Coast Hoops, but it's still Be Legendary. It's just like a partner, not even a partner. It's just like another level of it.
Okay.
I wanted to,
Like an offshoot
switch.
of it.
Yeah, and it's just because we went somewhere new, and so I was like, let's call it OCH, but we're still Be Legendary. And so
Yeah.
I do trainings too, like personal training, small group training, skill work, fundamentals, all that development, all that stuff. And so, yeah, man, she started doing really, really well. And one of the years she got MVP. She was named MVP of her team, the best 3-point shooter on her team. And then there was another girl too, who, man, one of the hardest working kids that I've ever worked with, man. Don't want to say her name either, but she kept kind of getting the shaft, every year, dude, every single year, kind of getting overlooked. Um, and for whatever reason, she kept coming back, man. She could have quit. There was so many times where I thought she would. She never did, bro, for like what, 5 years. Never quit. Kept coming
Wow.
back. Yeah, dude. And in my opinion, I think she got overlooked quite a bit just because I think there was other politics and stuff that were involved with parents and kids on the team and parents that work at the school, and you know what I'm saying? There's just a lot of stuff going on, man. I've heard so many different stories. I couldn't tell you which is true, which is not, but I've heard a lot of stories going one direction, and it's politics, and it's not cool. And I mean, this, like I said, this kid was one of the hardest working, really good defender, great rebounder. And just the way she kept with it, dude, was kind of inspiring to me. It was like, dang, if she can go through all this and keep showing up to trainings 2, 3, sometimes 4 days a week for years, man, there's not much I can complain about. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so it pushed me, man. It made me better. I don't know, man. It just motivated me to take this and just keep going and just make bigger and bigger. Because, man, like I said, bro, I'm super proud of this stuff, man. Not trying to be boastful about it, but I'm really proud of the program and how many kids have been a part of it. And like you said about the birthday party last month,
Oh,
that broke my
definitely.
heart.
Def,
Yeah.
definitely tell that story because I think it's a amazing story. I think we need to hear more stories like that, and definitely I was like, yeah, we gotta talk about that because that's to me it's important.
Yeah, man. It was in it. It was important to myself, and it was major, man. And so there's this kid on my basketball team. He's been on my team, high school team, for 3 years now. And this time in particular, he was all excited. So normally what happens, dude, this is crazy, but every year his birthday lands on a game day. So we have a game on his birthday, and it was like that for the last two, so not this year, but the 2 years before that, it was his birthday landed on a game day. And so the other thing I would do for this kid, is I always gave him the start on his birthday. He always got a start on his birthday, no matter what. Those 2 years,
Nice.
I talked to the other starters and was just like, hey man, like, how do you guys feel about this? For one of you have to give up your spot. Two, this is going to mean a lot to him. You know what I mean? It's going to mean a lot to this kid. And so both years people volunteered and they're just like, he can have my starting spot. No problem. And it was
Nice.
awesome, man. Like that's creating that brotherhood and creating that family.
Yeah.
We look out for each other and we take a back seat for each other sometimes to let that person shine. And so this same kid, his birthday, you know, he was like, man, I can't remember exactly what happened, but he was like, my mom didn't book the bowling alley. She was booking the bowling alley for all his friends to come and all this stuff. And so he was like, man, she didn't do it in time. And now the bowling alley's booked and all my friends have plans now. And they're just not, I got two guys that are going to show up and make it. And so me and Jordan heard that. And we were just like, oh man, you know, like we didn't want to be right then and there, like, oh, well, we'll show up. Or you know what I mean? Me and Jordan just kind of looked at each other because Jordan was kind of behind him. And I looked over at Jordan and Jordan looked at me and put his eyebrows up. And me and him we're on the same wavelength. Right. And so what we ended up doing is after practice is over, me and him talked and we were just like, hey, let's show up. And then Jordan's on the varsity squad. I'm the JV coach and the varsity trainer and assistant. So I told Jordan, I was like, how about this, man? I was like, you get on with all the varsity kids, you invite whoever. I'm going to do the same with JV. We're not going to tell Justin. And it is what it is. And so it was so cool, man, because people showed up, man. Varsity guys showed up. Some of the other JV guys showed up, and it went from him having 2 friends to him having like 8 people that showed up for him. And it blew his mind, man. He was just like, oh my gosh, you know, like the varsity kids are here too. Like it was cool, bro. It was really, really cool. So we all bowled. We played like 2 games. I didn't want to be like the third wheel or whatever, being the only adult other than his mom there. And so after we bowled like 2 games, I was like, all right, man, I'm going to go ahead and get up out of here, you know, and told Justin happy birthday, man. And, you know, he opened our gift from us. And like, I was joking with him. I was like, you need to open up my gift first before we leave. Because I said, you know, I was like, I want some of what's in there. And he started looking at me. And so it was candy. And there's like our favorite candies in there. Anyway, just joking with him. And so when I was getting ready to leave, he's like, here, he was opening the bag. He's like, put your hand out. I'll give you. I was like, man, I'm just messing with you. Like, he's such a good kid, man. Such a cool kid. And just getting to know him over the last 3 years, because there's lots of times where I'll have to take him home from practice, or I'll have to pick him up on our way to practice, or just whatever, you know. Sometimes our practice runs late and he misses the activity bus that takes kids home after. And so just getting to know the kid over the last 3 years, he's a really cool kid, man. Really, really, really cool. And so, yeah, it felt good to be able to do that for him and to see him smile and for him to be like, oh man. And Jordan was right on board with it, man. I thought that was super cool that, you know what I mean? Jordan was like, oh no, man, we can't let that happen, you know? And so, yeah, man, it made his day. And then just, like I said, letting him get the start on his birthday, those other 2 years. And so his family showed up to those games too. And, you know, like, I don't know, man, it's just, to me, that's what being a team is about and stuff like that. Letting certain moments, man, letting kids shine in certain moments that might not have gotten that otherwise, you know. On other teams, he ain't getting the start. You know what I mean? He won't even play. Like, he won't even play on other teams, man. And so and like I said, and he's a really cool kid. So yeah, man, that was his birthday, and it worked out really well, man.
That's good. I don't know if I asked this before, but is his dad in his life? Do you know, or
Not really?
not really?
Not really.
Because
I remember one.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I remember one time in particular, man, that it was this game in particular. He was all excited. He's like, my dad's gonna come and watch. You know, he's gonna come to the game, and then after that, I'm gonna go hang out with him and spend the weekend with him, and this and that, right? And Dad never showed up for the game. called him and was just like, "Hey, we're gonna have to postpone the weekend," and just he was devastated, man. I could just see it all over his face, bro. Like he was devastated. And so again, I don't know the situation, so I don't want to really speak
Yeah,
on it. I can
yeah,
only speak on that because I witnessed that and I was a part of that. And just seeing his face, man, and just how devastated he was, man, it broke my heart, bro. And so, it's just it's like, what do you say to somebody in that situation, man? So all I did is just, tried to comfort him the best I could, man. I was just like, things happen. Your dad, he means well, man. It's just, something came up and he'll make it up to you. You know what I mean? I didn't know what to say, man, other than cry with him. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Give a hug and cry with him, because it's like, damn, man, I know what it's like to be alone sometimes, and especially when your dad's like, I'll be there, and then you're going to come spend the weekend with me and then not show up and then say you're too busy for the weekend. It's like, dude, he just got hit with a double, like a KO double punch. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
so,
It reminds me of an episode of Fresh Prince of Bel Air.
oh, I already know what you're going
Basically,
to say.
yeah, I think you know when that's that scene where his dad's a truck driver, his real dad's a truck driver. He shows up and promises to take him with him, and
Yep.
that made me tear up. I watched that and I was like,
Dude,
man, that
I could,
was so powerful. And I was like, man, that hit me right in the chest. And I'm like, because I could feel. I mean, Will Smith's a good actor, and he portrayed that just perfectly, and you could feel that anger and emotion. And I was just like, man, that's because I think the most important role models, especially for young kids, the first person is usually the dad.
yeah.
And unfortunately, a lot of dads don't step up to being a role model, and I don't know, maybe maybe you don't know, but maybe how many fathers are there for the kids on all your team? How many out of the team of however many, are their dads actively in that?
Not a lot. I noticed it more in Spanaway than here. Here too, though. Like, I look at it like it's a it's a daycare. It's a chance for these parents to have 2 hours
Yeah.
without their kid. And so again, I mean, this is I can't judge anybody because everybody's, situation is
Oh yeah.
different. But me just looking from where my position looking at it, I'm just like, it's kind of messed up. Like, these parents they wanted to drop their kids off a little bit early. They wanted to pick them up a little bit late because they were going to the bar. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that was their thing, is they wanted to go drink beer and whatever and it was like, oh my gosh, my kid, I can't wait, get rid of my kid, and go do this.
Yeah.
And it's like, to me, and again, I'm not trying to say anything in my opinion, it's negative, man, that, and to me, but everybody's situation is different. So I'm not trying to talk badly, but my whole thing is like, damn, dude, your kids are going to be grown and moving out before you know it. And then you're going to sit there and you're going to wish that they would come spend some time with you. You're going to wish they would come have dinner with you. You're going to wish they would come and just hang out and talk to you. Like, that time's going to come where they're going to move out and then they might forget about you, especially if you
Yeah.
forget about them all the time and you're not there for them. It's going to,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like, it's going to go the same way. And then all of a sudden you're going to be sitting there crying and, why doesn't my kids want to be with me? And it's like, again, that's not going to be for every situation, but it's just, that's how I saw it, kind of, and I could be wrong,
Yeah.
man. I don't know. I could be
Yeah.
wrong on that, but it's
Yeah. I see that a lot too. And yeah, we don't know everybody's situation. We don't, because a lot of days households need two incomes. They need a mom and a dad to both be working. I
yep.
understand. I don't have kids, so I can't really speak on it, but I do understand, the financial aspect of it. And sometimes, yeah, it is. You have to work, and like me, I'm a truck driver, so I'm working long hours, and some people have to work long hours to do that. And unfortunately, the kids do pay a price. And when the dad's not there as much as they should be or hope to be, kids are going to start looking at different people as role models, as people to look up to, instead of the dad or even the grandparent or an uncle. Because I was lucky. I can say that I had my dad, my uncle, my grandfather, my best friend. These are guys I did look up to. So I was blessed that I did have those guys in my life to look up to until I was a teenager, and then just everything fell apart. So, but yeah, it is unfortunate that guys are not there as much as they should be. And I'm not going to say they're wrong for being it because they're taking care of their family. That's what a man does. They take care of their family. Even if they have to work two, three jobs, that's what they have to do. That's what I was taught.
Yeah.
But the unfortunate side effect is that the kid doesn't have that guy in his life, and so they search for it elsewhere. Otherwise they do search for it in different places. And technology allows us to look for it anywhere and everywhere.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of the detriments of technology. That's just my opinion. But,
I think with being a role model too, this is going to kind of switch in a different gear. I just thought about this real quick, and so I don't want to lose my train of thought on this. But I think also with being a role model is being strong enough and being okay to say you're sorry and to say that you were wrong in certain situations. I think that is a huge trait for a good role model. So the reason why I bring that up is last year, I always tell my guys on my team, don't talk to the refs, don't back talk them, don't be disrespectful to the refs. If the refs make a call and it could be the worst call in the world, you let it go, let it roll off your shoulder, and sometimes it's hard when you're the kid out there on the court battling and you get hit with an elbow or something, right? And ref doesn't call that, but then you might do something so petty, dude, just like a super tic-tac foul, and you get called for it, and then all of a sudden you're upset. You're like, you didn't see the guy smash me in the face just a minute ago, but you see me just barely breathe on this dude, and you're gonna call a foul. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like that happens a lot, man. Like
well,
all
no,
the time. But I always tell the kids, I'm like, do not argue with the refs. Do not get mad at them. Do not get yell at them. Nothing like that. Like, because what's going to happen is those refs will, and they do it. I mean, they tell us that they'll do it. They'll start picking on you, like on purpose, call shit on you. You know what I mean?
oh
Like
wow,
to get in your head. Oh, dude. Oh, it's yeah. The refs admit it, and they're like, yeah. If there's a kid that's disrespectful to me, I'm picking on him, and I'm like, okay. And so I tell the kids that, right? And so this one game in particular, man, one of my kids on my team got a really, really hard foul. He got fouled, right? Ref no call. And so I'm just like, as the ref, because I'm standing on the sideline as the ref runs up the court, I'm like, hey ref, blow that whistle. I really appreciate it. Wasn't being a dick, but I was letting him know I meant what I said, right? But I wasn't being like over dramatic or like, you know what I'm saying? Like I wasn't
yeah,
being that guy. I was just like, hey, it'd be cool if you blew the whistle, man. Both ways. You're calling fouls on us down here. It'd be nice to get the same treatment on this side. And the ref just kind of looked at me. He's like, whatever, man. Goes down now. And then a different kid, the most ridiculous foul call, like hands straight up, playing great defense. Kid goes up for a shot, misses it, calls a foul on my guy. And I'm at this time, he just missed another call for me on our side. So I'm like, man, I was like, I was like, really? I was like, can I get a call too? Can you call this fairly? And the guy, again, he just looks at me and he's just like, respect, in his mind, I can see what he's saying to me in his head. First of all, he's like, F you, respect my authority. And like, just turns his back to me, right?
yeah,
Then another kid, so another kid on my team, they're going for a rebound. The two kids are fighting for the ball. The kid on my team steals the ball from the kid and starts to dribble up the court. There's only like 5 seconds left in the game, or no, 5 seconds left in the quarter. And he starts to dribble up. The kid pushes the kid on my team. The kid that's on my team stops dribbling the ball, which he probably shouldn't have done this. He stops dribbling the ball, turns around, and full on pushes that kid. My guy on my team gets the technical foul. At this point, now I admit I wasn't the best coach at that point. I lost my cool. I started yelling at the ref. I got a technical, and he told me that first he gave me a technical, and he said that I need to sit down and I can't talk anymore. So I did. I went over and sat down, but I kept talking, and I kept saying I was like I let my mouth go, man, and I shouldn't have said the things I said. I ended up getting ejected out of the game. Uh, yeah, bro.
oh wow,
Ended up getting ejected, man. And so at that point, I had been ejected. There's nothing else he can do to me. So then I really let him have it. And I actually used cuss words and stuff. And I made an ass of myself, to be honest with you. But I was so upset with that dude. And I ended up leaving the game. After the game was over, you could see some of the parents were kind of like, look, like they were kind of like, just not disgusted. I don't know if that's the right word, but you know what I mean? They
I
had
am
a problem with
shocked.
what, yeah, they had a problem with what I did. And they have every right to feel that way because I shouldn't have done that. But then there were some parents that came over to me, put their arm around me, was like, hey man, I appreciate the way you stick up for my kid or the team in general. And they're like, I really appreciate that, man. And they're like, I hope you don't get in too much trouble with the school and all this kind of stuff. And it was cool though, because some of the parents were like that. No joke, dude. This was a weekend. The very next Monday and Tuesday, the principal started calling kids in and asking the kids what happened. It was one of the most amazing things in the world, man. Every single kid that he called in were like, Coach Brandon didn't do anything wrong. He was protecting us. They told the principal the story, or as the vice principal. They told the vice principal the story of what happened, and they were like, he was just protecting us. We weren't getting any calls. The ref was literally singling us out for whatever reason, and he did nothing wrong, and that's what these kids were saying, multiple. And so then I didn't know that happened. So then the vice principal calls me on Tuesday and was like, hey, we need to have you come into the office and we need to talk about some things. And I knew it had to be about the game, right? I didn't
Probably like,
know
oh Christ.
yeah, and I didn't know that he was calling kids in though, right? So then I get to the office and he brings me in and he's like, hey man, this is just a formality. Like, this sucks that we have to do it this way, but I have to do it in person. I can't do it over the phone. He was like, we heard about what happened at the game over the weekend. He's like, I just want to let you know I'd have done the same thing. And I was just like, totally, yeah, blindsided me in a good way.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh man. And he was like, yeah, we had quite a few kids. We interviewed quite a few of the kids that are on your team and that were at the game. And they all told us what happened and he told me what they said. And he's like, I can't tell you which kids we interviewed or which kids we brought in, but he's like, I can tell you what they said. And he just started listing off all these things. And man, and he shook my hand and was like, thank you for sticking up for the kids. Thank you for believing in them. And thank you for sticking your neck on the line. He's like, there's nothing we're going to do. You're not in trouble. Like, we're not going to go any further with this. It's like it never happened. I was like, I could have been fined. I could have been fired.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? And it was really cool, man. And then like again, at that next practice, some of the kids came up to me and was just like, they told me then that they're like, yeah, the vice principal called me in and they were like asking questions about you. And I was like, I just didn't want you to get in trouble, man. And they were like, all you were doing was looking out for us, and they're like, we can't have you getting in trouble for that. They're like, if you would have done something else, then it is what it is, but you were just looking out for us. And so that situation was really, really cool, man. And it was like, again, this is all about like basketball is like a family. It's like a brotherhood. We look out for each other. We stick up for each other. It's, letting the kids know I got your back no matter what, man. And I mean, I have another story kind of like that, but that school let me go actually.
Oh really?
Yeah, but the parents were all like on my side, and the parents to this day, I still get messages. They'll hit me up and be like, man, you were the best coach that my son ever had, and you took the most time out with him, blah blah blah. It was so, it was a shame that they did you dirty at that school, blah blah blah. But yeah, there was one game in particular where the same thing happened where a kid on my team, bro, took an elbow and it was on purpose. It was the most malicious elbow. Came down with the rebound. He went to pivot out. The kid that he was out rebounding all game long, like out rebounding. I mean, my guy was doing really well, dude. That other kid swung with an elbow on purpose, hit him right in the chops, bro. My guy dropped like a sack of potatoes. Yeah, it was on purpose, like 100%. My guy dropped straight to the ground and he's holding his face, right? I run off the bench, which that is something I shouldn't have done. But I see my kid go down, not my son, but my kid as in my team. I see him go down on the ground from a blatant elbow. No foul called, man. No foul called.
That's BS.
Two referees on the court supposedly didn't see it. You know what I'm saying? Supposedly didn't see this. I run off the bench, go to the court, go to my kid, looking at him, dude, blood's on the ground, blood's coming out of, like, dripping out of his mouth, right? He split his whole lip right here. And I just lose it. I'm like, how? I was like, this is on you. I was looking at the ref because there's a ref that's underneath the hoop, and then there's a ref that's like up by the 3-point line, and they get so they
Mhm.
can kind of get a view of all angles. And the guy that was the ref that was down on the baseline, I was like, this is on you. I was like, that's your area. How could you not see that? The parents in the audience were all like, blow the whistle. How are you letting this go? And I was like, you're going to make this game go out of hand. You have to reel this in and take control of this game by blowing your whistle when you see this stuff. And the ref's like, oh, I didn't see anything. I was like, do you see the blood? Do you see my guy's lip busted? I was like, how his hands were up here with the basketball in his hands when he got hit. And so, anyway, long story short, I got technical for that, got ejected out of that game, and that school did not renew my contract. I finished out that year, and then after that, they didn't finish out, or they didn't rehire me, renew my contract.
Yeah.
But both times at that school, the one that fired me or didn't renew my contract, and the other school who kept me, both times I made it a point to address the entire team and apologize and say I acted out of line. I should have never done that. And I'm sorry that I put our team in a position that now I have to leave the game and I'm not here to battle with you guys and finish the game with you guys by your side. And so both times, like I said, I humbled myself and had a sincere apology. And the kids were all like, man, thanks, blah, blah, blah. We really appreciate it. And so I guess that's what I was trying to go with too, is by being a role model, man. Like when you fuck up and you're wrong, you got to admit that, man. I think that is something that, kids need to see, that it's okay to say you're sorry when you mess up. And hey, I'm human, my bad. I'm not going to let it happen again, and lead by example. And so I tried my hardest, and I haven't gotten a technical since. So I'm doing good
Knock
on
on
that
wood.
part, bro. No
Yeah.
technical since then. But yeah, man, just a good role model is leading by example. If you mess up, dude, say you're sorry and say, hey, this is why I messed up. These are the reasons why. It's not right. I shouldn't have done it, and I won't do it again.
Well,
And
that kind of
so,
leads me in. That kind of leads me into the whole what are some qualities, some characteristics of what makes a good role model?
I mean, this, like, to hit on like that one especially, bro. Just being accountable for your actions, man, and what you do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, I wrote down some stuff, man, because I was thinking about this ever since you asked me, man. And do you mind? I know I'm going to be looking down,
Oh,
but I wrote some stuff down. Is that cool?
go ahead, brother.
I just think, like, for, like we just kind of said, leading by example. If you want the kids to act a certain way and you want them to be on their best behavior with the ref and you want them to not disrespect the ref, you show them that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And be the same way. Um, Even though I do tell the kids, like, I tell them not to talk to the rest. I was like, let me do that. Let me be the bad guy, not you on the court. Let me be the bad guy. And so, we kind of talked a lot about that one. But yeah, I mean, just like leading by example, man. And then, like, another one is consistency. Don't say one thing one day and then come in the next day and have a completely different view on things, and then next week have another view. And you know what I mean? Just, if you want a certain line of discipline, let's say, because like with my stuff, I am fun and I do like to have fun with the guys, and I probably should be a little bit more strict on things. But when it's needed, then I am, And so consistency was something I was telling my guys this year, because we had a couple of guys who like to really goof off at practice, and then it takes away from our practice. The other kids are like, oh, they're goofing off, so I'm going to join in on it. And now next thing you know, it's you lose the
Yeah.
practice.
Yeah.
And so that's, like, that's just something else, man, is consistency. And I told these guys a couple of times, I'm like, they got to a point where I was like, all right, everyone put the basketballs down. We're on the line and we're running a 20. Go. You know what I mean? They're like, a 20. So the 20 is you're on like one baseline, and you got to go to this baseline. That's 1, 2, 3. So it's a 20 is a lot, man. And so do it, and so they'd do it. And then I was like, are we ready to pay attention? Are we ready to get back to business here? I mean, I like to have fun too, but you're not going to walk on me at the same time.
Yeah.
And so Anyway, in this certain practice, we had to do it again, another 20. And some of the kids that are always paying attention and that are like, you know, some of the leaders on the teams are starting to get pissed. And so I told them, I was like, this is a good opportunity to figure out who our captains are right now. Who's not going to let this keep going? I said, you don't have to be rude to your teammates. You don't have to be a jackass. You don't have to go off, haul off and smack your teammates, but you can be a leader and go talk to them and say, hey, bro, no, like, you know what I'm saying? Like this, you're making it hard for all of us to learn what we're supposed to be learning today and what we're supposed to be going over. And so I had some guys on the team that did that, and they took it upon themselves to get those other guys back in line when they're goofing off. And those guys ended up being my captains for the season,
Nice.
because those are leaders. Like that's a
Yep.
leadership role. And so giving the guys, that's also another way that I kind of give the guys responsibility. Is yes, it's in the grand scheme of things, I have the ultimate responsibility of running practice, but my captains should too. My captains are the ones who are running it out on the court when I'm not out on the court with you, because I can coach from the sideline, but it's just, yeah, man. I mean, responsibility. I think integrity, like accountability and integrity. There's other coaches that I've known in the past that I've even had with Be Legendary that never show up, always call in late, call in sick. And so I think if you have a team and kids constantly are practices being closed or shut down because of other things, I think that's horrible. It's
Yeah.
showing kids, it's showing kids that you don't need accountability, man. And I think with being a role model, that's another thing. If you say you're going to do something, do it and be there. Be there on time. Don't be late. I don't know, man. It's just integrity, I think, is something that's going out also right now in
Yeah.
these younger generations.
Oh, for
And I
sure.
think, and it's funny, man, because we keep going back to social media and we keep going back to cell phones and stuff. But I honestly, I think that's like, these are all factors that go into it, man. I really, really
Well,
do.
yeah, I love technology. You know, I mean, we grew up in a time where Atari was, you know, that was a technology. So computers have made things amazing. The social media, it's put me in touch with a lot of friends I went to school with, and you know, if we didn't have it, I wouldn't be talking to them. This wouldn't be happening. But there's a big negative side to technology, and
Yeah.
there's a big vacuum. You know, like I said, when it comes to role models, you know, and I see a lot. For some reason, all the bad role models get more clicks, they get more likes, they get more. You know, it's like the bigger the mouth, the more people pay attention. Unfortunately, and unfortunately, those people with the big mouths are the people you don't want to follow. And we need to have, you know, the more positive role models like yourself and guys like you that step up and, you know, say how it is and say, hey, this is how you do things. This is how things are supposed to be. Do not pay attention to those ass clowns out there doing the flashy shit. It's, you got to bring them back down to earth in a sense. And yeah, like you said, accountability, responsibility, integrity. Integrity is just, that's gone
It's
out the
huge.
window. Yeah, it's, you know, because, you know, you got to, it's when people are not looking is that really shows if you're a good person or not, you know,
Yeah.
and somewhere they mixed up those messages that it's okay to be this way when people are looking, but it's not okay to be when not people are looking. And so I don't know. It's just like you said, technology is great, but there's such a negative spin to it, and it's taking away more kids than given. I think given the good
Definitely.
positive stuff, because like just even watching like those reality shows, what gets the most viewership is all the drama. It's like the Masked Singer or one of those shows. Every clip I seen was people being booed, people being shunned, people being clowned on for sounding so bad. And you don't see really a lot of the people that really sound good, that have good stories. It seems like it's all the people with the drama get more of the viewership, get more of the spotlight than the people that have all the positives. overcoming things that they've had to deal with. And I think that's what we need more. We need more positive role models that have their stories and tell their stories and say, hey, you know what? This is how we all should be. Randy is a perfect example. Randy is a
Oh,
perfect example of a role model.
yep.
And his kids luckily learned it from him. Jordan learned it from him. The kids, he knew how to be even when nobody's looking. He knew how to be a good person. He doesn't need to have the spotlight. He doesn't need recognition.
Yep.
Um, we luckily I grew up with him, and we all had the same community, the village. It takes a village to raise kids, and so we all had the same parents, the same friends' parents. So we all had that positive side to us that we said, hey, you know what, this is what we're supposed to be. And Austin and Dylan and Cody, they're all like him, because
I
that's
was
what he taught
I was gonna ask you a question on that right there too, man. Do you think back in like 80s, even early 90s, stuff like that, back in that time, even earlier than that, like we can go back to I wasn't around, but like 50s,
him.
60s, 70s.
Yeah,
Um, do you think that so what I see and what I remember in the 80s when I was a young kid is like you said, it takes a village. We knew everybody on our street, right? We
yeah,
lived in Puyallup on this street. You turned on our street, you went up this hill. We had a cul-de-sac at the very, very end of our street, and then we had a cul-de-sac to the left, halfway up our street. We knew basically everybody, and there was probably at least 20, I'd say 25 houses, and we knew everybody there. We would have block parties where everybody would get together and like somebody like I don't know, like these three houses would get together and they'd be barbecuing and having stuff out in front of their house, and then and you would just make
yeah,
your rounds. You know what I mean? And everyone
yeah,
knew each other. Everyone helped each other out. I remember my dad going and helping the neighbors hang doors on frames and garage doors and helping them with their cars and just and like we all knew each other. We all looked out for each other. We all watched out for each other's kids. And I feel like that was such a sense of a community. Like it was so cool. Like it's almost like you didn't have to worry as much. Like your kids could be out playing on this street, and it was a long street, two cul-de-sacs. They could be out there, and you knew that no matter what, there was a few eyes on your kids. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like if anything was to happen, they would be the first ones to run out and stop a problem or whatnot. And I feel like today, like even the last 20 years, bro, like nobody knows their neighbors. Nobody has any contact with their neighbors. You don't know each other, and everybody's like all isolated, and like it's not a village anymore, man. It's almost like you feel like you have to keep to yourself. Like I'm the opposite though. Like when I go outside, if my neighbor's outside, I'm always like, "What's up? Like, what do you do? You know, how you doing? How's your day?" And then they'll wave back, and we'll talk. Our neighbors around here, we got one, two, three, four. So we have four of them right here close to us. We know all of them. They're all super cool with us. And every year, like for Christmas, we go get them something like a little small. We have Warner's Beef and Brew here. They do like beef jerky and like the cheeses and just all sort of pepperoni and everything. So anyway, like we make it a thing every year that we get them a basket, right? And I know that if we're gone out of town, they're watching my house. They'll let me know,
yeah.
hey, by the way, there's some cars showed up on this day, blah blah blah, or whatever. And we do the same thing. So there was plenty of times where like my neighbor right next door, she's like mid 80s, and there's quite a few times where she'll forget to shut her car door, or she'll forget to shut her trunk on her car, or she'll leave the garage door wide open. And so there's been so many different, I mean, I countless times where I'll go just close it for her just because this is what you should do. You know what I mean? As a
Yeah.
good neighbor, as somebody looking out for each other, like there's times where she comes home, like if I'm home or if I see it, she comes home from the grocery store or whatever, myself or Jordan will run out there and we'll take her groceries in for her. You know what I
Nice,
mean?
very
Yeah,
nice.
man. I mean, it's just that's how I was raised, and it's just like that's what you should do. I mean, you respect your elders, you look out for your elders. Um, and the lady is so nice, dude. She is so cool and so thankful of that stuff. And then there's times also where I tell her, I'm like, hey, if I don't see it, like if I'm in the house or whatever, and I don't, see you pull up and you have something heavy, I was like, just come knock on our door or give me a call. And so she has done that, like when she has dog food or planter boxes or dirt, because she loves flowers, man. She's in her backyard, dude. Her backyard is beautiful, bro.
Or is it?
Beautiful. She has all the flowers. She grows like green beans back there, sunflowers.
Oh,
Anyway,
wow.
oh yeah, dude,
Nice.
it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And so like she'll hit us up, man, and we'll go and do that for her. Go take that stuff in. And I think like those are qualities too, right there, of stuff that you can do without much effort, man, like, and be a role model. Like another kid sees that, or somebody across the street sees that, and they're like,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
pretty nice. Like, man, maybe I should do that, or maybe I should help somebody out with that. And
Yeah, because
just
kids see that and they learn from it. And it's like, hey, why is he doing that? Well, it's because it's the right thing to do. And she's an old 80-year-old lady. That's what men do. That's what our job is. You see an old lady needs help, you go over and help her. You don't ask questions. You don't ask for anything. That's just the right thing to do. And yeah, growing up when I was across the street from Randy, yeah, I knew everybody on that street. There's probably,
yeah.
I'd say 60 houses probably, and I knew almost every single person.
Yep.
Um, when the power would go out, we check other people's houses and like everybody's out on the street going, "Hey, you got power or what happened?" Or "Hey, you got water, you got whatever." Um, you know that yeah, we don't have that. I mean, like even in this neighborhood, I know the three neighbors to my left. I know two neighbors to my right. I know across the street. Um, and I've talked to a few people up toward the top of the street. Um, and yeah, I know. Like the funny thing is, the guy next to me, he has the same exact last name as me, Watts.
Hmm.
And he had gotten some mail and it had my name on it, but it had obviously last name. And this is when he first moved in. He's like, is this your last name?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's my last name." And so we kind of bonded over that. He's an older guy. He's probably in his 60s, late 50s, early 60s. Um, cool guy. But yeah, we watch each other's house. If I got his phone number, he's got mine. If he's going to be leaving, he'll let me know. "Hey, we're going to be gone for a few weeks. Just watch the house." I'm like, "Yeah, no problem," and vice versa. Um, but yeah, that. And I don't see. I know we have a lot of kids on the street, but I don't see many of them outside. There's a few kids I see over by the basketball hoop, but other than that, I think, like you said, kids are isolated inside their house. They're on video games. They're on their phones. We grew up in the neighborhood, and we were forced to get to know everybody because we were out there. Everybody was out there, whether they're mowing their lawn, washing their car, fixing their roof, fixing a fence. Um, Somebody lost their dog, they go door to door, knocking on everybody's door, and then you see half a dozen people out there looking for the same dog.
Yep.
That's what people did. Now,
Neighborhood camaraderie, man.
yeah, and I think that definitely brought people closer, and I think it gave people a better sense of being human and being good. And yeah, you definitely hit the nail on the head where people do not have that camaraderie anymore, and it's everybody's inside, everybody's afraid to come out because who knows what's going to happen or who you're going to offend. You don't want to say the wrong thing, you don't want to wear the wrong thing. Um, but yeah, I don't see that anymore, like you said.
So another story is when we lived in Washington still. Jordan was probably 9, something like that, maybe 9. And a few of the kids from the basketball team were over at our house because the kids know that my house is always open to them. It's my house is a safe place. My house is they're welcome all the time. And that's just how it's always been, man. I've always been like that with Jordan's friends, the kids on the basketball team, whatever. You are always welcome here. If anything's going
That
on,
sounds familiar.
you know what, but yeah, I mean, that's just how I was raised. My family was always the same way. If anybody ever had any problems or if the kids, the house is open, you're welcome here at all times.
Yep.
And so the kids were all at the house. I was in the garage, messing around in the garage. And then the kids were kind of, it was Jordan and like 2 or 3 of his buddies. And they were kind of playing in the yard too. I don't even know, man, water balloon fight or I don't know, something. They were just messing around in the yard. And I heard a big dump truck come down our street, and then it beeps when it's backing up. and it dumped a bunch of gravel in front of this lady at the very, very end of our street that was in front of our house, and just dumped this gravel. The lady talked to him for a minute or whatnot, and he left. So I'm sitting there looking, and I'm like, damn, what's this lady gonna do? It's blocking her driveway, and she's not gonna be able to back out or back, whatever. And so, but I was like, how long is that gonna sit there? So I'm just in my mind, just kind of watching. And then the lady goes and gets a wheelbarrow and a shovel, and it's a pretty big pile, man. And so she's an older lady too. I'd say probably late 60s, early 70s, and
Oh
she's
wow.
out there by herself shoveling this. And I looked at the boys. There's, like I said, Jordan and two or three of his buddies, and I was like, hey, I was like, what's up with this? I was like, what's wrong with this picture right now? I just wanted to see what they were gonna say. And they kind of looked at me and they're like, what are you talking about? And I was like, did you guys notice what's going on at the end of our street? And so they all look, and they're all like, oh yeah, she's shoveling gravel. And I'm like, should she be doing that by herself? And all the kids were like, they're all looking at each other, and they looked at me and they're like, should we go offer to help? And I was like, yeah, you should. That'd be a great idea. Like, you should definitely do that. And so it was really cool too, is because two of them were wearing our Be Legendary shirts.
Oh nice.
And so, yeah. And so they all ran over there, man. And that lady, dude, about fell over just because of the generosity and how nice of a gesture that was for these three young men to go over there when they were playing and to stop playing, because she saw them in our yard, and to go over there and help her. And was so dang cool, man. She was like, she's like, I got a couple of shovels, but I only got the one wheelbarrow. And so I had one. I was like, I got another one. And so then Jordan ran over, got the wheelbarrow, got another shovel. So they all had shovels, two wheelbarrows. There was two guys filling the one up. The other one would take it, dump it in the back where it needed to be. They would come back. By that time, the other wheelbarrow was already filled. So then it was like we had this awesome assembly line, dude, and we got it done. And like no joke, bro, an hour and a half. You know what I mean?
Nice.
And it was a huge pile. It would have taken that lady days, dude, to do that by
Yeah.
herself. Days. And we got it done so quick. And that lady was so happy, man. Like, she asked the kids, it was so funny too. She's like, do you guys like popcorn? She's like, I don't really have much to offer them. And I was like, we don't want anything. And she's like, no, I am not going to take that. And she's like, I got to give them something. So she went in, and I think she made up lemonade or something. She popped up some popcorn, brought out some chips, whatever she had in there. And I
Yeah.
was like, no, we don't need anything like that. She's like, they gotta have energy. They gotta have food for energy, and they gotta stay hydrated. And so she was doing that. And it's like, okay, cool. We get everything cleaned up. Jordan goes, grabs a broom out of we had a huge broom. And so Jordan grabs that, starts sweeping all the, like the dust and all the stuff
Yeah.
that's left over. He
Yep.
started sweeping that off onto the side of her driveway where there was already gravel. So it kind of just blended in, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And so she saw that too. And she was just like, oh my gosh. And so then she came out, man, and she gave each kid $20. And they, you know what I'm saying? They were blown away at that, and especially at that age, like at 9 years old, $20, you feel like you're a millionaire, you're rich,
Oh yeah. Heck yeah.
and I told that lady, I was like, man, you did not have to do that. That's not what this was about. These kids genuinely wanted to help you. And that's all this was. And and she said, basically what we're talking about right now. She's like, if it wasn't for you guys, nobody else was going to come help me. She's like, I'd have been out here forever doing this. She's like, that's just how it is nowadays. Nobody would have come to help. And she's like, I'm okay with that. I'm okay doing it by myself. But she's like, it was really refreshing to see these young men stop playing and thought that was more important than to continue to play. And they went over and did that. And she was so thankful. And it was like, every time from that point on, every time we saw her, it was always, we had a little conversation. And, it was cool, man. And it felt good. The kids felt good. And it was just, yeah, man. And it's like, just, I think those kind of things right there, just teaching kids to take action when you see something, like just those gestures go so far with some people, man. Like some people will never forget that. Never.
Oh yeah.
And it means a lot to them. And it's like, why not? Like, you guys aren't really doing much. You're just sitting here playing. Like, go take an hour and a half, come right back. You guys will play again. Yeah. You know what I mean?
No, it's about being selfless, and
Yeah,
and that's stuff you just don't see anymore. I mean, I don't see it anywhere,
it's
and
true.
it sucks. It sucks that we've strayed from that, and like I said, it goes back to the technology, and we need more. It's just
Dude,
I know it's
this
not like a
brings
broken fucking record, but Jesus Christ, you know.
dude, this is so funny. I hope Austin watches this, dude, because I have to give Austin some I have to give Austin some shit now. So Austin, he
He's a
can't
good sport.
he no, he'll know what I'm talking about. He'll love this story. So, oh my gosh, man. It's when we were widening our driveway. Our driveway is like 55 feet long by it's like two right now. Well, okay, before when we moved in here, it was you could park two cars, but it was kind of tight. You know what I mean? Like the two
Yeah.
cars, you wouldn't be able to open the doors very much. And then there was grass on this side. So it was how do I want to explain this? But so you have a driveway, the main yard is over to this side. On this side, you had a strip that was 50 feet by 6 feet wide, 50 feet long. And I was like, man, this was, we had just moved into the place. I got a big basketball hoop we put out there that's on wheels. We could move it around. And we didn't have a lot of room. We had room. It was the length was long, just not the width. And I was like, man, if I could get 6 more feet of width, we'd have a really good area to play hoop on. And so, the thing is I'm cheap and I didn't want to pay somebody to come dig out all of that sod and get it 6 inches deep for the concrete to come and pour. I'm too cheap for that. I was like, I'll do this my damn self. You know what I mean? So I was like, well, me and Jordan are going to be doing this. Jordan's going to be helping me. So Austin found out about it. And Austin's like, man, I'll come down and help you, come down for the weekend and I'll come help you. And I'm just like, dude, it blew me away. I was like, man, no problem. I was like, I'll pay you. He's like, oh, I don't need any money or nothing. And I was like, nah, man, like that's a very cool gesture. We'll do it in this coming weekend. Austin comes down here. Oh my gosh. For one, Jordan was the first one up out there. He was up before me. He was out there already working. Austin was still sleeping.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And I was really impressed with that, man, like with Jordan. But this is an Austin story, man. So Austin's in there getting his beauty sleep. And I don't know if you remember, but this was back when Austin had the longer hair and it was kind of shaved up underneath here and it was kind of longer.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So this dude took, I don't know how long, man, but he's using the camera on his phone to look at himself. And he's like, all making sure his hair's all good. And I was like, and I'm just giving him shit. I was like, bro, you realize we're going to get dirty and sweaty. Like your hair, you don't need to impress me, man. It's like, we ain't going on a date after this. So you ain't got to impress me, bro. Like, what are you doing? And it was Instagram, man. He was posting pictures on Instagram. And I'm like, bro, put the Instagram down, dude. Like, what do we do? We're here to work. And so, like, I'm not even kidding you, man. Like, I love Austin to death, and he is a huge help. But I mean, like, every 10 minutes, like, no joke, he was taking a break, going over, like, doing selfies and posting them on Snapchat. And I'm like, oh, I gave him so much shit for that for years, bro. But it was like the gesture was there. Like, it was so cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That he came down and all that and wanted to help. And I'm like, I was like, man, it's pretty sad, bro. I was like, my son is outworking you. Like, he is hella younger than you are, not nearly as strong as you are, and he's outworking your ass. I was like, how do you feel? And he's like, my bad, man, my bad. And so then he would like work really hard for like 20 minutes. And then I would go into the house to get something to drink or whatever. And I'd look out the window that looks out onto our driveway. And I see him over there just like, take a picture. I'm like, what is this dude doing? Oh, it was so you gotta ask him about that one day, man. That was hilarious.
I'll have to razz him about that. That's funny.
Oh yeah, I still give him shit about it. I'm like, man, how's your hair, bro? You need to do your hair again. Like, oh, it was funny, man. But it was cool. He came down for the weekend, hung out. We got the job done, which was the main thing. And yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, he definitely learned from Randy, and I'm glad those boys, Jordan, they all had people to look up to. I think
Yeah.
it's important because they're gonna grow up to be really good men, and they're gonna be role models themselves to their kids, and to, hopefully, Austin and Jordan and all them, they become somebody like you and Randy, that you're influence to not only your own kids, but to everybody else's kids.
And see, so
Because
that right there, you just hit it on the head too, bro. And that's why when I told myself I was gonna start Be Legendary and start having a basketball team with all these kids, it was like, I mean, it's what you just said, man. I have to change how I am. I have to change how I carry myself because I'm going to be around kids now. I can't be a jackass. I can't talk out, cuss and talk sideways and all these, and just not be a good person, somebody that these kids could look up to. I was like, and so by doing that and having all of these kids join, and it made me a better person, man, literally. Like I had to be a better person. I had to show myself as being this, but not just here and then behind closed doors still be a jackass and being an idiot, and so
Yeah.
it changed me, man. And it's like it was amazing, dude. I owe those kids, I mean, I owe those kids a lot, man, because like I said, if it wasn't for that, and who knows what would happen, um and I mean, when Jordan was born, I think he was about 2 years old, man, is when he didn't even know what the hell I was talking about. But like at 2 years old, I had a talk with him and I just told him, I was like, I'm going to change for you. I want to be a dad. I want to be somebody that you're proud of, somebody that you're going to look up to and not be a jackass and be like disappointed to talk about me. You know what I mean? And not, man, I'm gonna cry, but, you know what I'm saying? And so I had that talk with him at 2 years old, bro. And again, I know he didn't, he's 2 years old. He's like, what are you talking about, Dad? But, and I did at that point changed a lot of how I acted, a lot of the stuff I was doing that wasn't, I wouldn't want him doing. And so that was major, man. And then starting the basketball thing just took it to the next level because now I'm around kids all day, every day, because it was year-round basketball.
Yeah.
And so it's like, and what I thought was cool too is I had to put myself on their level so that they could relate to me. You know what I mean? And so I had to, know what was cool for them. And so I would always have Jordan. I'm like, listen in on what Jordan's talking about or what he's doing so that I know what is cool for these kids. So I don't come in like, these kids are like, what the hell is he talking about? Who's it? And so I would always have references that they would know or that they could pick up on, and stuff like that, man. And so it was a learning experience and it was awesome, man. So as much as, whatever good was done with these kids, it was right back at me too, man. Those kids helped me out a lot, and a lot of people, which was really cool. And I'm really proud of is, a lot of people I hung out with and a lot of my close friends said, once I started that basketball thing, they're like, damn, you changed. You're not the same person anymore. And so like that makes me feel good, man. Cause it's like, I did change, you know what I mean? I'm not who I was, I can't be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where do you think you got that from? Because I know
Got what?
your dad, just that need to, be better. What inspired you to be not only being a dad. I don't. That's one thing I will say I'm jealous of. I never got a chance to be a dad, and I, you know, being into soccer and stuff like that, I was like, man, especially when I saw Austin and Dylan playing soccer, I was like, man, maybe I should maybe try to be a coach. I mean, I've got like 13 years of experience playing
Yep.
soccer. I'm like, but there was another part of me that was like, it would be overwhelming for me. I wasn't in the right headspace. But I completely admit, I'm jealous of like you and Randy and them that you got to have that experience, And what I was initially saying is, where do you get that need to be the best version of yourself, the best person? Because I know you said something about your dad was always working, and
Yeah.
so he wasn't as around as much as you would have liked to him to have been.
And so, yeah, and you're
Did that,
100% right, man.
yeah, did that
Um,
play a part in it?
I think it did. And when we had that conversation last time, like I hope I didn't come off like my dad wasn't there and I was neglected and all that, because that wasn't it. It was just he was gone a lot. You know what I mean? But on the weekends and stuff, dude, like he always took me out on the boat. We always went camping. It was just during the weekdays I was alone a lot. But
Yeah.
again, he did make up for it on the weekends. Like we were always doing stuff on the weekends. We're always hanging out and always kicking it. And so I'm not saying by any means my childhood was bad. I'm not saying that. I think if things would have been different, I probably wouldn't be who I am today. For one,
Was
I can
was
make
he?
friends with anybody,
Yeah. Was he
at
your
any
role model at first?
I think At first, yes. Yeah, I mean, I thought my dad was the coolest thing in the world, man. He always, he always had boats. Like that was his thing, was boats. And so we always had a boat, and he would always every few years get a new boat, and we would do different adventures on, first it was a smaller boat. We just went fishing. Then we started getting a little bit bigger boat. Then it was like going out and going fast up and down the Columbia River and spending the entire day on the river, going to different places, like just all over, pulling up the docks, going up and eating lunch, getting back on the boat and going. So it went from just having a teeny little boat going into lakes, just fishing. Then it went to that. Then it went to like, he bought a bigger boat that we could sleep on. So then we started going overnight vacations on the boat. Took the boat all the way up to Columbia, Columbia, BC, all the way through Canada and all that, man, like on the boat. And so it was, like I said, I'm not saying by any means that I have a bad childhood or am I upset at my dad. No, I'm just saying when I was real young during the week, I was by myself right after my parents got divorced. But yeah, no, my dad was awesome, man. And I think for me, back to your original question is just, I wanted my son to have somebody to look up to. I wanted to be somebody that he'd be proud of. I didn't want to ever have him be like, oh, my dad, he's locked up, or my dad's never there for me, or my dad would rather go out and drink with his buddies, and his friends are more important than I am. And I just never wanted that, man. And so, yeah, like I said, when he was 2 is when I made him that promise, and that was it, man. It's never looked back ever since. And I changed literally right there, because I was always out kicking it with my friends, man. You know what I mean? I was 26 years old and like drinking at the bars, driving when drinking and driving, just not being responsible and just not being there like I should as a father, And so it hit me one day. It was just kind of like, I can't remember what it was. Jordan asked me, I really don't remember. Maybe it was play a little, because he liked wrestling, WWS, so he had like the little figurines and the ring and all that stuff. And he asked me to, I think it was like asked me to play or something like that with him, play wrestling guys with him. And I was hungover, and so I'm just like, no, man, are you kidding me right now? I was like, Daddy needs rest. And I saw him just the way he walked away. It was just like, oh, okay, and then went back by himself, played in his room. So I'm just like, fuck, dude, like, if I wasn't an idiot last night, stayed out too late, and now I'm not being responsible, and you know what I mean? Like, that's I should be in there playing with my son, because one day he's not going to ask me anymore. You know what I mean? And so like, that was it, bro. And I just was like, man, I think it was like literally the next day, dude, is when, we just, had a talk. And I was just like, man, this, I promise you, man. And so, yeah, man, I think Jordan was definitely what made me want to be a better person. I said, I just didn't want to be somebody that he wouldn't be proud of, and not be like, oh, that's my dad.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's a lot of them out there.
There is, man. I know a lot of them.
Yeah, me too, unfortunately.
Yeah, and then just like hanging out with Randy more when I was, just when me and him started really hanging out, seeing how he was with his boys, and how like the Halloween stuff, like all those props, him and his boys built those together. Like, he built them with his kids. And so to me, I'm just like, damn, man, like that is going to be something that those kids will always remember. They ain't never going to forget it. It meant the world to Randy to have his boys doing that, because Randy told me when him and Candy split up and the boys would come over on the weekends or whatnot and hang out with him, like the kids would just be playing video games, and they'd just be kind of doing their own thing. They weren't spending time together, which was the whole reason that they would come over on the weekends, is to hang out and spend time together as father and sons. And so they weren't doing that. And so Randy was just like, he said literally one day, he was just like, how would you guys like to start building some cool props, and we'll just decorate the house for Halloween this year? And the kids are all just, they're like, oh yeah, that's cool. And so Randy went out, taught them how to use power tools, and taught them how to build things, and taught them how to use their hands. And like Randy said, it was the coolest thing in the world, because then after that, it just snowballed, bro. And it was just bigger and better stuff. And they just kept doing it. And then the Christmas lights, like the Christmas displays, and you would come over and help them with that, man. And so now it's something that Randy and his sons are doing. and their uncle comes over and helps, man. And it's like, it's
Yeah.
literally a family thing, bro. And like, to me, that is so dope. It's like, that is the coolest thing. Like, that's because I'm starting to, man, don't want to cry again, bro. But that's what I'm going through right here with Jordan. Is I know he's graduating in 2 months, and they're already talking about moving. Him and his girlfriend are getting real serious. They've been together for
Oh,
two
wow.
years, and they're talking about moving out of state. And so I'm like, damn, like, you know what I mean? Though I'm like, Jordan's been my shadow, dude. Like my shadow, my right hand man forever, forever.
Yeah.
And it's like that could be gone here coming up. Like, who knows, man? I mean, he graduates in 2 months. Then you only have 3 months of summer, and then college starts right after that. And so Jordan's girlfriend, she's not sure where she wants to go, but Jordan's already told us that she wants to follow. He wants to follow her wherever she's going. He's gonna go. You know what I mean? And so it's just like, I don't know. That has really, really hit, man. This is gonna be crazy, but I know I already told you this story about how a few, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago, whatever, me and Jordan kind of got into it.
Yeah.
Um, and it was Jordan was puffing out his chest a little bit, seeing what lines he can cross. He thought he was the man, and I was, and it just was getting worse and worse and worse, the disrespectful, like the rolling the eyes, the talking back, this and that. And so, yeah, one night I had enough. Me and him got into it. But the blessing that came out of that is me and him are super close again now. And Jordan saw that what he was doing isn't what he was doing was wrong, and how much it hurt me being his dad, being disrespected like that and being treated like that by my son.
Yeah.
And so he saw that, dude. It took what happened to, in lack of better words, knock some sense into him. It broke my heart afterwards. I think I even told you that we had talked about
Yeah.
after that altercation. It broke my damn heart. And I talked to another one of my really, really good friends, man. One of my best friends, his name's Brandon. I talked to him about it, and I'm just like, so this kind of is going to go back to being a role model thing, is like, damn, dude, like, what did I just do? You know what I mean? Like, now my son's really, our relationship now is going to be really shit. Like, I'm not a role model to him. He's not gonna want anything to do with me now, And Brandon was just like, he's like, bro, I have 3 boys. He's like, 2 of them I've had to do the same thing with. The other one isn't there yet. He will be one day, and he'll do the same thing. And I was like, I feel so bad about it. And I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry I did it. And he was like, said something to me that really opened my eyes. He was like, why are you sorry? Why do you feel bad? He's like, it's okay to feel bad and all that, but why are you sorry? And I was like, because of what I did, man. And he's like, if he did it again today, if he did it again tomorrow, what's going to happen? I was like, the same thing. He's like, then don't be sorry about it. Don't feel bad about it. He's like, as a man and as a father, you have to check your kids. Otherwise, your kids are going to run amok and be out there disrespectful and disrespecting everybody.
Yeah.
And when he said that to me, dude, bro, when he said that, it literally my mind changed at that point. At that point, I'm like, you know what? You're right. Like, it's unfortunate it happened, and I wished it wouldn't have. But if he does it again, it's going to happen again. And so that's the mentality that I was at. And so when I saw Jordan, because he went to go stay with his girlfriend for like 3 days. His parents, his girlfriend's parents were cool with it. They're like, they knew what happened and stuff. And so they let him stay there for 3 days for the cooling off period. And when Jordan came back home, I was like, and my friend Brandon was like, dude, when he gets home, don't kiss his ass. Don't go right up to him. And I'm sorry, man. I'm so sorry. Blah, blah. Don't do that. You have to let him know that there was a boundary, and that boundary was crossed, and he was wrong for that. He's like, you have to be strong in that situation, because he's like, you're going to want to go give him a hug and tell him you're sorry and this and that. He's like, but you are going to have that uncomfortable talk as soon as he gets home. You're going to have to sit him down. You're going to have to let him know what happened, why it happened, and it will happen again if that situation comes up again. And I was talking to him, and he was like, trust me on this. He will respect you more. He will respect you more than he did before. And I was like, man. And so this whole conversation that we wanted to have a podcast about role models, is like, that right there, not saying that that's what you should do to your kids. I'm not saying that like a good role model is going to go and whoop their kids at. Like,
Yeah.
no, I'm not
No.
saying that. But sometimes you have to put yourself in that position to lay down guidelines, lay down line, like, like there's certain things that you cannot do to me and I'm not going to stand for it. And dude, like I know it sounds funny, but it took something like that to make our relationship way better. And it has been. Me and him hang out like now, like we actually have conversations that aren't basketball. Like usually it was always basketball, but now it's like we'll hang out, we'll go have lunch together. We like he comes to me and like every time before he leaves, man, which is something I always did with my family, and I think it's amazing. Every single time before he leaves to go somewhere, he always comes, gives me a hug, and tells me I love you. Every time, literally every time he leaves the house, school, work, doesn't matter. And so
Nice.
that's something I love that shit, bro. Like to me,
Yeah.
that means so much to me. And so yeah, man, it's like it took something that was bad, that was a negative, but it turned into now we're closer, bro. And Jordan knows that I can't do that again.
Well, yeah.
At
It
least
teaches.
not right now. Wait till I'm like 70 and try it, and then I won't be able to do shit.
Yeah. No. It teaches them respect too. You know.
Yes.
If you're coddling these kids and you're always kissing their ass and tiptoeing around them, it's not gonna teach them that respect. There is a pecking order of sorts. Dad is in charge. You can be a good dad. You can be a bad dad. You can be a weak dad. You can be all those things. But yeah, he knew that there was a limit, and he found out what that limit was. And it's
Yeah.
about respect. I always grew up. My parents, always respect your elders. Always respect your grandparents, your mom, your dad,
Yes.
your uncles. You don't cross. There's certain lines you don't cross. I pushed those lines a few times, and I got the consequences. And
Me too.
I was, yeah, and I always, and it put me back in my place, saying, you know what, it's not only just about me. It's like, okay, it's not just me. Okay, I got to be more respectful for my dad. I got to be more respectful for my uncles, my dad, my grandfathers. It's yeah, because the biggest thing I think these days is kids don't have respect anymore, and
They don't.
unfortunately, I think there's a lot of fathers out there that are probably scared to do what you did with Jordan because maybe they've seen something on social media or maybe they've heard stories of, these kids will call CPS on them or they'll call the cops or they'll do this. And, if it happens all their life, that's a different story. But
Yeah.
you and Jordan have always had a good relationship.
We
This
have.
is kind of one of those rare things that when it happened, it made it better because I think Jordan realized it was not out of meanness or cruelty or hate or anger. It was love. It was respect. It was teaching him a lesson like, hey, you know what? This is the line you don't cross. I'll let you do whatever, but you cross this line, there's going to be a pushback. And that
Yeah.
was it. And like your buddy said, he's going to have a lot more respect for you now. And like you said, you guys are like even tighter now.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's a difference between being a bad dad and being a dad that won't tolerate some things. You know.
And so this was just a couple of days ago. Jordan has a side business that he does. He does window cleaning, interior and exterior window cleaning for residential and commercial. Um,
Nice.
yeah, yeah. And his girlfriend, they used to use. She had a Toyota Tacoma. That's what they would use. My son bought this like crazy water filtration system that can reach up like 3 stories. It's all water fed poles and just it's
Oh
crazy. So there's
wow.
like guarantee. Yeah. Oh, it's really nice, but it's guaranteed
Great.
no streak. Yeah, no streaks, guaranteed. Like
Nice.
because the water has like 4 filters it goes through. So there's literally no more deposits. So like that's where you get your streaks from is like sediment and whatever's in the water.
Yeah.
Um, and so Jordan, his girlfriend, got in an accident and totaled her truck out. So that's what they were using is to put all this equipment in. And Jordan got into a car accident also, and so his car was totaled. So He's right now using his Grammy's car. She let him borrow that because she's in Arizona for 3 months, and so she let him use it. Anyway, he didn't have room for all this equipment, and he was just like, man, I don't know what I'm gonna do. He's like, this job's coming up. It's a $450 job. It's like, it's a lot of money, blah blah blah. And I was just like, you want to use the truck? And he's looked at me and he was like, Randy's truck? And I was just like, yeah, you want to use it? And he's just like, dude, he was dumbfounded. He was like, he's like, I can. I was like, I trust you. I was like, yeah, I know you'll take care of it. Yeah, you can use it if you need to. And he was just like, he was all happy, like, okay, cool. So he called the client back and he was like, how does tomorrow sound? I can be there tomorrow. Because that was his dilemma. So he was like, dude, how am I going to get all this equipment there? Ladders and whatever. Even though he has this machine that can go up, he still likes to bring a ladder just in case. So long story short with that, dude, he took amazing care of the truck, which I never, this part I'm going to tell you is I never in a million years would have thought he would have done this. But on his way home, he went and stopped at the gas station and filled the truck up completely, even though he only used a little bit of gas because the drive was like a 20-minute drive there, 20 minutes back. So he didn't use much gas. He filled it all the way up. And like, I didn't know he did that. You know what I'm saying? And then I get in the truck or whatever, and it's on full. And so I was like, damn, it was like at a quarter of a tank when I gave it to him. So he put way more in it. Anyway, I asked him about that. I was like, man, you filled the truck up, didn't you? And he looked at me and he was like, how much dang gas does your truck take? He's like, I thought 60. He's like, I thought 60 was going to be enough. And he's like, he put 60 in and he's like, it didn't even fill it. And I was like, dude, that truck has, I don't know, 23, 24, 25 gallon or whatever. I was like, it's almost $100 to fill.
Yeah, that's what,
I was like, it's like $100, right? Close to $100 to fill the truck. And so, but anyway, I made a point though. I was like, dude, that means a lot to me that you did that. I said, I was like, I'm going to be real with you. I didn't think you were going to do that. I didn't expect you to. Like, I didn't tell you to. I thought I was just going to get the truck back, and it is what it is. But the fact that you did that and you went out of your way to do that on your own, I was like, that is maturity. That's respect. Like, you respect and you appreciate that I let you borrow this truck, knowing how sentimental that thing is to me and how much it means to me. Like, no, trusting you that you would, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was like, just the way you filling up the tank like that, in the grand scheme of things, like, you did it just because you thought that it was the right thing. But to me, it means the world. Like, literally, that gesture meant the world to me, and I let him know how much it meant to me and stuff. And so just little things like that, man. It's like, having your kids grow up, like I think you said it a little bit earlier, man, was just like, they're going to be out in this world, man, and just teaching them the right things and be a good person, man. And like, just that little thing right there, it was awesome to me, and it's like, okay, he is thinking about other things than just video games. You know what I mean? He is thinking about other things.
Yeah. No,
and so
you taught him good.
It was cool, man. It was a really, really cool thing. And so then I went to Christine just messing around, and I was like, Jordan wasn't here. But I told Christine, I was like, did you tell him to go get gas? And she looked at me and she was like, heck no. She's like, how could you even ask me that? She's like, he did that on his own. And I was like, I'm just joking. I was giving you a hard time. I just, like, I was just kidding, because me and Christine always give each other a hard time, man. We were always joking with each other. And so anyway, she was like, heck no. She's like, that was all him. I didn't even know he did it until he came home and was like, damn, his truck takes a lot to fill it up, because his car's like $45 and it's full.
Yeah. Yeah, those Chevys, I think they have like 22, 23 gallons, because that's about what it took for my truck when I had my Duramax.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's really cool that he did that for you. And
I thought it was cool.
You didn't tell him to? You didn't say expect it or anything like that? He just did it like on his own. It's like, that's cool. Because he's learning, he's been learned, respect. He knows what that means. And when you're using somebody else's stuff, take care of it, do what you need to do, and like a truck, fill it up. You used it, fill it up, top it off. It's just the right thing to do. It's just a good thing to do, That way it makes even though it's just a little bit easier, it makes your life a little bit better, you know.
Yeah, and it was just a cool gesture, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And like in the grand scheme of things, it it meant a lot to me that he went out of his way to do that, you know. And to some
yeah,
people that could be just like, oh, that's super little, like that's not even a major thing, which in reality it's not. But it just shows that he's thinking about other things. Like he has been raised, you know, like what you just said a second ago, that he's been raised to think about those things instead of just, gosh, I can't wait to get home and get on 2K and play video games with my friends. Like, oh,
yeah.
no, I should probably stop on the way home, put some gas in my dad's truck for letting me borrow it. And, you know, like, and he didn't even say anything to me. Like, it was, he just did it. Like, I thought that was cool.
Yeah, he was appreciative, and he
Yeah.
returned it. You know, he returned that gesture in return. So yeah,
And that's,
most kids these days would have been like, "I'm gonna borrow Dad's truck. It's got a full tank, and they'll run it till it's almost empty, and then bring it back, and it's got McDonald's wrappers inside, and it's got dirt all over it and stuff." And yeah, kids just don't. It's that respect thing. They just don't have it these
and,
days.
and so I told him too, like, you know, after I thanked him and all that for that, I told him, I was like, hey, anytime you need to borrow the truck, you just ask and it's no problem, man. I was like, I know you're going to take care of it, you know, and I know you appreciate it. And yeah, I was like, anytime, man. And so he was like, it was just one of those things that was really cool because he knows, dude, like he's always been afraid to drive the truck because he's like, man, what if something happens? You know, he's like, Dad'll kill me. Like, because he knows how sentimental it is. But for me to, you know, for me to be like, dude, yep, I trust you, man. I know you're gonna take care of it. It's all good. So
Oh,
when I told him
he was
that,
probably scared about driving that thing.
oh, he's nervous. Like he drove it. He was only driven it a couple of times, man. And every time, dude, he's just like 10-2, like, you know, you know what I mean? Like
Yep.
he's so nervous. But I think that, you know, I think that was a big thing for him too, because it shows that he's responsible. And I believe that he is responsible. I believe in him and like, yeah, you can use it whenever you want now, you know, and
Yeah.
stuff. So it's just one of those things that and plus it's Randy's truck, man. So it's super sentimental and I know he'll take care of it. And so
Yeah.
if he wouldn't take care of it, he ain't going to use it. You know what I mean? So I think he understands that, man, my dad believes that, you know, I respect it and take, you know, I don't take it for granted and I'm going to treat it like better than my own.
And that's cool. When I heard that you were taking Randy's truck, I was like, man, that's awesome. You know.
I just, oh, man, it's going to sound so stupid, but I just didn't want it going to, even though Randy only had it for like 6 months, he loved that thing. And that's all he talked about. Like, dude, first, this is the only time he's ever done this. And I've known him for 20 some years, right? When he was looking for a truck, dude, he kept calling me and being like, hey, I'm going to send you some pictures. Which one do you like best? He went and looked at probably 50 trucks. Well, maybe not 50, but he went and looked at a lot of trucks. And he kept sending me pictures, dude. Like, which one do you like? He's never done that. All the vehicles that Randy's bought over the years, never done that. I don't know why this time he did. And he just, every time he was like, he kept sending me the picture of that one. He's like, dude, I really like this one. He's like, I think this is the one I like the best. And then he's like, I got 2 more I'm going to look at tomorrow. And then he'd send me pictures, right? And it always came back to that truck. And yeah, man, I don't know. It was just, he's never done that before, ever. And so, you know, obviously first it goes to Austin or Dylan. Like those two get first
Yeah.
dibs. And Austin had just bought his Tundra. He had that blue Tundra at the time. And Dylan had I
Yeah,
think he
that
just
Subaru, right? Was that
yeah, I think
Subaru? Yeah,
he
the
just got that
Subaru.
Impreza.
Yeah.
And so he was like, man, Dylan was like, man, I really want it, but he's like, I just bought this car, and he's like, I can't afford 2 car payments. And so I was like, well, if it's okay with you guys, I would like to buy it. And both of them, their eyes got, you know, big, and they're like, really? We'd love for you to have it. We'd love for it to stay in the family. And I told them, I said this to both of them, and to this day, I stand by my word. I told them, if any of you ever wanted it, I'd sell it to you guys. You know what I mean? Like it would go back to you guys.
Yeah.
If I don't care if it's 10 years from now, 5 years from now, whatever it is, if you guys wanted it, it would go back to you guys. And so they thought that was really cool too. And I told them, I was like, I'm never selling it. I said, if like the sky is falling and it came down to like life or death and I had to get rid of it, I said, you best believe that I would be calling both of you first and letting you guys know that, hey, this is my predicament. This is my situation. Are you guys, you know what I mean? Like I would show
Yeah.
them that respect. And
Oh yeah.
they were just like, oh yeah, no, that's awesome, man. We're glad that you got it and stuff. So, and you know, when they come down to visit and stuff, they always say how cool it is that they see his dad's truck, you know?
Yeah, I think I was the last person he told about his truck because me and him have an ongoing thing for the longest time. Because he was into Fords, I'm a Chevy guy,
Me
and so
too.
yeah, anytime he had brought my pickup, my diesel in, he'd always say, "Oh, bring back my Chevy again." I'm like, and he always clown on me about Chevys, my Camaro, whatever car I had, it's usually Chevy. So he'd always make fun of me for owning a Chevy. He'd make Chevy jokes, and it was just an ongoing thing. So it was really funny, and I think that's why he waited because he knows I was going to razz him so bad for buying a Chevy. And sure enough, he posted it on Facebook, and he tagged me in it, and I forget what he said, but he said something funny, and I was like, yeah, now let's see who's going to be, razzing who, you know.
Yep.
But it,
Well,
it was it was fun.
he had that before that one, that blue that Pepsi blue Ford F-150.
Yeah, he had that F-150 he didn't have it for very long.
No, but that thing kept having problems and issues and like the door. He told me like in winter when it would freeze, the passenger door wouldn't shut, so he had to lean way over. And he said there's times where he had to hold the door shut. And so dude, my dad has been a Chevy guy his whole life, and so
My dad
I'm
too.
I'm Chevy too because that's what my dad
Yep.
always had and that's what my dad likes. So I like what my dad likes, you know?
Yep.
And so I would always give Randy shit too. And I'm like, man, you should go get a Chevy, bro. Like that damn Ford's giving you nothing but problems, you know? And he would always be like, oh, I love Ford. Like, anyway. And so then when he got the Chevy, I was just like, yeah, you came to the force, man. You left the dark side and came to the force.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's so funny.
It was fun. I do miss
Yeah.
that. I do miss that banter with him and everything. Yeah, and then when he got the Mustang, I was like, man, that was cool because
Yeah.
I have my dad's '68 Camaro, and so before he got sick, my big thing was like, man, I'm gonna get this Camaro running. I'm gonna get it restored. He's got his '66 Mustang. I'm like, we're gonna be cruising down to car shows and cruising down the road and
Yep.
side by side. And I was like, man, that was a dream that I really wanted. And I was like, oh man. And then when that happened, I was like, but yeah, those
Yeah.
are yeah, that's hard, you know. But I'm glad you got the pickup. I'm glad Big Randy has the Mustang, you know.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that stuff is still in the family, and yeah, those things should be staying in the family. Like my dad's Camaro. I grew up around Chevelles, Camaros, Novas, Chevys in my blood. That's just who I am. So when I did buy a Ford Fusion, he did give me a lot of shit for it. But I was like, I still, I still got my Camaro, I still got my Duramax pickup, and I'm like, but I needed a commuter, and the Ford Fusion was pretty much a good thing. So I was like, but yeah,
Yep.
I'm glad you got the truck, and you know,
Yeah,
it
man.
means a
It's
lot.
it does. No, and that's the biggest thing, man, is just the meaning behind it. The sentimental value
Yeah.
is um it's unmatched. It's irreplaceable. It's something that, yeah, I mean, I haven't done anything to it, man, except the only thing I've done to it is I changed out the tail lights. I got the black or the smoked tail lights
Oh, nice.
because everything else on the truck he blacked out. He got rid of all the
The
stock
chrome.
emblems,
Yeah.
blacked all
Yep.
that out. Everything he did was black, and so I was like, man, I think that'll look pretty cool. And my cousin, he works at an auto body shop and stuff, and so he was just like, he's like, man, bring it over. I'll order them for you because he gets a discount because he used his shop discount or whatnot. So he got me these things for just a ridiculous deal, and then he's like, I'll throw them in for you, man. And so that's the only. Other than
Nice.
that, yeah, man. Other than that, bro, it's still the exact same.
Nice.
Yeah, I am
Very
actually.
cool.
There is something I am going to be changing though here real soon. Is it started making this weird noise? What to me I thought was like a knocking noise. Come to find out, it wasn't. It has an exhaust leak. Where the
Uh,
manifolds. Yeah, the manifolds because of the weather down here. It's the salt air.
oh yeah.
Um, so they got really corroded. And from what the mechanic that looked at it, I don't I don't know exactly, but anyway, he said that there's actual holes in it. And so that's what you're hearing is the air coming out of it making that noise. So it's not knocking. It's I thought it
It's
was,
more
but
of a
it's like it's
ticking. It's more of a ticking sound.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
And so
if there's holes in the exhaust manifold, you're gonna have that tick 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 tick, kind of sound. So
and he's like, so that guy, I don't know, man. I didn't really trust him fully. So I took it. So I called my cousin up and I was like, man, if you were to take your truck, this is a situation, where would you go? And it's a spot out in Salem. This guy's been doing exhaust systems for 33 years. He's done all my cousin's stuff and all of their friends. And so anyway, I took it to him. And what he's gonna do is he's gonna take off the exhaust manifolds and he's gonna actually go with headers.
I was
Um,
about to suggest that. I was like, man, you should put some headers on that thing.
Yep, we're gonna go headers. We're gonna go cat forward headers because he was saying he's like you could go long headers, but he was like it's illegal as hell. He's like if you get caught with them, it's like 10 grand fine per side per header because you have if you go long headers, it bypasses. You have to take out the catalytic converters.
Oh, okay.
And so the guy was like, I'm not going to do that work. He's like, because my shop will get fined. You're going to get fined. And he's like, we can go with short headers. So it's cat forward instead of just all the way back.
Yeah.
And he was like, these headers, he's like, they're the best in the business. They're really good. And he's like, what you're going to notice with these headers is because they're the shorter ones, whatever. You're going to know way more about this stuff than me, man. I'm not, you know what I'm saying? Like he was
Yeah,
speaking
yeah,
Chinese to me, man. But he was like, it's going to give you a lot. These particular ones, and being shorter headers from the cat forward, they're going to give you a lot more low end power, a lot more torque, and a lot more throttle response. Is what
yeah.
he's like. You're going to notice, and so they're going to do that. And then he's also putting on Flowmaster's cat back.
Those
And
are
he's
my
like,
favorite. Those are my favorite mufflers, is Flowmasters.
Flowmaster. Yeah, he was
Yeah,
saying for this truck, he was like, this setup with these headers and that exhaust system, he's like, you'll
that's gonna sound
probably,
mean.
yeah, he's like, it's going to sound so good. And he's like, you're probably going to gain right around 20 horsepower, if not more.
Yeah, that's about right.
And so I was like, dude, that's awesome, okay. And then he was like, the other thing you can do, he's like, this would be the only other thing I would advise. He's like, get a cold air intake. And he's like, that way, because right now he's like, once you change these two things out, the flow of air coming out, because he's like, what he was telling me is like stock vehicles, it's like they're kind of squeezed, they're like choked off. You're not getting the best performance. He's
Yeah.
like, because of the mufflers they have on them are very restrictive, just the manifolds are not as good as headers. And so he was just telling me all that, but he's like, the only other thing we do is now change in the intake. So now you have a better intake so the car can breathe. And now you have a better exhaust so the car can exhale. Is that how he broke it down to me? He's like, then you'll be, and he's like, plus the intake will make it sound really cool. Like everything will just sound good. And he's like, that intake will probably add another 10. So he's like, after you're done, you could be at 10 from the intake, 10 from the header, 10 from the exhaust. He's like, you could have a 30 horsepower gain, way better throttle response. And then he was saying that better fuel economy also.
Yeah. No,
And so I was
those
like,
are all good stuff. Yeah.
so I
Yeah,
was
because
like, dang,
you
man.
can't have, because if your exhaust is too small, that's restricting and it's hindering it. But if you get it too big, then you're losing power there too. So, but you gotta have that fine balance of intake and outtake and exhaust and stuff. But yeah, it sounds like it's going to be an awesome setup. You're gonna even the because I grew up around muscle cars. I just love
Yeah.
that rumble.
Yep.
The headers and the big rumble and the low. It sounds mean, man. That truck's gonna
Yeah.
sound a whole lot better.
I know. I know. I'm kind of excited, man. All the parts should show up like I think Wednesday is when they should all be showing up. And then, um, yeah, the guy at the shop was like, hey, as soon as you get all the parts in, he's like, call me and we'll get them installed, man. He's like, I'll make sure I get them done. So it'll be for sure. So like the parts will show up this coming Wednesday. It'll be the following week that it'll be done for sure.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm
That'll be
excited,
nice.
man. I know.
Oh
And
yeah,
then,
I
like I
would
said,
just.
then I'm gonna save up a little bit, and then I think I'm gonna go do the air intake system he was talking about. After, just got to save up a little bit more for that one.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know what those range. I'm more old school, so I know all the like Camaro, old Camaros and stuff. The modern stuff, it's a lot more technology that I don't know about.
That's I'm learning that too. So,
Yeah.
dude, like this, he was telling me about the different intakes, and he was saying how there's some filters that you have to oil, and then there's other filters that are just paper, and you throw them away when they're dirty and put a new one in. But he's like the ones that you can that are like spongy, you put oil on them, you can clean them and reuse them.
Yeah.
He's like the problem with those ones is he's like sometimes if you don't know what you're doing, he's like people will over oil them and you're sucking air through it. And so he's like, what happens a lot of times is that oil will get stuck on the O2 sensor or the air sensor, and it'll
Oh,
gum it
okay.
up and it'll throw a code in your car, your check engine light and stuff will come on.
Yeah.
And then he's like, then you have to pay somebody to do a diagnostic, figure out what the problem is, then fix it. He's like, you don't, it's not a gain or a loss of horsepower. He's like, it doesn't change anything. He's like, it's the same. It looks exactly the same. But he was like, go with the paper ones. And then when they're dirty, just get a new one.
Yeah,
He's like,
because
that's going to,
those filters like $20, I think, or something, just to swap them out.
and they'll probably last, I would imagine, what, 10, 15,000 miles at least?
Yeah, they last quite a while.
Yeah, so I was like, I'll just do that, man. That way I don't have to mess with over oiling it or not enough oil, and then dirt gets in there. And
Yeah,
so,
sticks to it. That's cool.
yeah, I know we totally got off topic, man. Was there anything else on
No,
the role models
I
you want
could
to talk
talk. I
about?
could talk. I could talk cars all day. That's one thing I love that I got from
Yeah,
my dad was the love of cars. That's me and Randy shared that a lot too. But no, if you were to tell people out there, anybody listening, what are the good role models to look for, and what are the bad ones? What are the ones that you want to stay away from?
I mean, man, I mean, there's there's like YouTubers out there and stuff that I would definitely stay away from. But I mean, if we're just talking like in general, I mean, just I don't know, man. If you had to look up to somebody, I would say the qualities of that person, man, like they have to be conscious of how other people perceive them. I don't
Yeah,
know if I make sense with what I'm trying to say, but it's like if you want to be a good person, like you have to look what other people look at you like. Like, do other people look at me like I'm a bad person? Do other people look at me like I'm not trustworthy? Or, oh man, I don't want my kids around that dude. I don't trust him. Like, that's a bad guy. Like for me, I think that the reputation part of it is, but then you have to live up to it, man. Like you can't just be a good guy sometimes. Like, I don't know, man, especially when there's kids involved, dude, because just like we've talked about 2 podcasts now about how detrimental it is that these kids are learning the wrong things from the wrong people and being influenced by the wrong people. And so you just want to be a good influence, man. Manners, respect. And again, back to the basketball thing is basketball has always been the platform, and that's what brought us all together, but it's life lessons that you learn through the sport: discipline, hard work, failure. um I think those are some of the biggest things. You can't really truly succeed or know what succeeding is until you have failed, and then you've come back from that failure and feel how good it is to accomplish something, not give up on yourself, not give up on that goal. When you're on a team, be legendary for me is always like we have to play for each other, not for yourself. Like if you're being selfish, it hurts the team. And that's selfish. That's something right there. People aren't going to look up to somebody who's selfish. You know what I
yeah,
mean? um it's just that brotherhood of being on the court together. For me, being the leader, I guess, being the coach that's on the sideline, leading my troops on the court. I can't be out on the court with them, but I got to be able to try to instill in them for every situation that comes up how to act and how to navigate through that situation. It's going to be hard. You're going to like the refs, for example. Like a good role model is going to tell you, don't talk back to the refs, don't fly off the handle with the refs, don't be disrespectful to the refs. Even though it sucks and it feels like you're always getting shit on, and it always feels like you're taking a back seat and you're always the one that's getting these foul calls, be the better person and just let it slide off your back. Just brush it off, because in reality, you can't do anything about it. They called a foul on you. They called whatever call it is. Arguing it, getting mad, being disrespectful is only going to make it worse.
Yeah.
And so I try to teach them that. I think that's something that is a characteristic to look forward or to look for in somebody that you would call a role model. Just all the other, I don't know, man. Just everything we've talked about today. I think those are just all those characteristics are major, man. Especially like, I don't know, like we talked about earlier, these YouTubers that are out doing this just stupid stuff, man. Like, it's just, I don't know, man. I just don't think those are good people to follow. Like, what are your morals? Do you have respect? Do you have manners? How do you treat your, like you said earlier, how do you treat your elders? You said in the last podcast, like if you were walking in front of somebody and they're behind you, you open the door for them. Or if you're walking up to a door and they're coming this way, you open it for them that way also.
Yeah. Yep.
If somebody drops something, pick it up for them, this was something that I thought was amazing. Keanu Reeves. I really, really like that guy. The more I learn about him, he's a very what do you want to call it, man? Very
Humble.
like he doesn't humble. There you go. Thank you.
Yep.
There was a story about him. He was on a bus. He still rides the bus, bro. He still rides the bus, the train, all this stuff. And he was on a bus one time. I think it was right after Matrix had come out. So he's buku bucks. I mean, he's lots of money. He's sitting on a train and a lady got on the train or a bus, got on the bus. She was pregnant and there was no other place to sit. And so she's standing up holding there's like these little like wires or something that he was trying to explain that she was holding, right? And then her other hand's on her belly. And he was like, she looked like she was 7-8 months pregnant. You know what I'm saying? And so he got up, went over to her and he was like, here, please take my seat, have my seat. And that lady was so thankful. She was like, oh my gosh, I've been on my feet. My feet hurt and I just need to rest, and I'm pregnant, blah, blah, blah. And I think to me, just that gesture right there, just him doing that, that's a role model. Like that's awesome. Who does that anymore? Nobody does that shit nowadays.
What's crazy is that I was thinking probably 5 minutes ago, I'm like, you know what? Maybe we should talk about like famous people as role models. And I was actually going to mention, I was thinking about this the other day because I was like, okay, when me and Brandon start talking about role models, maybe I should start, talking about famous people because a lot of people do look up to famous people.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of famous people that are people you should never look up to. But there's a few people who are good role models that you should look up to. And just like you said, Keanu Reeves was the very first person that popped in my mind because, like you said, there's those stories. I've seen videos. He's just a good person. Even being one of the most famous actors in the world, he is still so humble. He's still so kind. And it's like, man, if we need more famous people like that, we need more stories about that. We don't need to hear, a famous person getting drunk and rolling their car or doing all the Kardashian stuff or, like the Tiger Woods stuff,
Just yesterday.
Yeah.
Or a couple days ago.
Even though I've heard some stories about, he was under the influence, but it was prescription medication. Maybe something happened. It wasn't drunk driving or anything like that, but he was under the influence of something. That's what I heard, but I don't know. But, like I said, there are a lot of bad, famous people out there that we should not be looking up to. And we need more people like Keanu Reeves to look up to.
If you had to pick, an actor, like other than Keanu, because we both agree Keanu Reeves is a good person. Who's another actor? Because I have one that is like at the top of my list, man. But who do you think would be a good actor that's a role model that it'd be okay? Like, oh yeah, kids, definitely young men can look up to this dude.
Oh God, I'm trying to think. I know Bruce Willis was one. I've heard a lot of stories about that dude. He's pretty down to earth, pretty humble. That's the first one that pops in my head outside of Keanu. I've watched some documentaries on like Patrick Swayze was another one. I think was a pretty cool dude, pretty down to earth. He didn't let the limelight get to him as much as it does other people. Um, I mean, those are the two that pop into my head at the moment. I'm sure tomorrow I'll think of some other ones, but what about you?
For me, it's Denzel Washington, bro.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That dude, man, he is
He's still
just
married to his wife of 30 plus years or something, some crazy stuff like that. Oh, okay. There is one guy just popped into my mind. You mentioned Denzel. I don't want to mess up his name. Neil McDonough, something like that.
I don't think I
He's
know who that is.
he's he's not like, I mean, he is kind of an A-lister, but it's his principles and he was in Yellowstone. Um, he was in some other shows. You'd know him if you saw him. He's like blonde hair, really icy blue eyes, but he's so respectful. He will never do a kiss scene with any other actress because he's married out of respect for his wife. Um, when I heard
Kirk
that,
Cameron's just like he's like that too. Kirk Cameron's
yeah,
same thing.
yeah, exactly. And I was like, man, that's bold to say that in Hollywood. You know, to
Heck
take that
yeah.
stand and say, hey, you know what? I'm not going to do a love scene. I'm not going to do a sex scene. I'm not going to be kissing another woman because I'm happily married. I think by doing that, it's disrespectful for her. And I was like, man, that's the stuff that I like to see. You know, that
Yeah. No,
that guy
that's
that guy's a pretty good actor too. I like him. He plays a good guy, but he also plays a good bad guy too. So I've seen him play bad guys. But
I,
yeah,
I like I like listening to Denzel when he'll go to like Denzel will go to like colleges on graduation day and give graduation speeches to the kids and just
yeah,
the things he says, bro, are just like, oh my gosh, like yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it, man. And there's things like Hollywood has tried to get him to do and he will refuse to.
yep,
You know, he's just that guy that he's like the first for me, he's like the first one to think of if it's like, oh, if I had to pick a Hollywood guy, he'd be for me, he'd be the first one. And then again, Keanu too. Keanu's really from everything
yeah,
I've seen, I haven't really heard anything bad about Keanu either.
no, no.
Um
And Denzel's probably one of the top 10 greatest actors of all time in my opinion.
oh,
He just
dude, for sure.
Yeah, and I actually did see one of his speeches at one of the college, and he was talking about making life decisions and choices, and yeah, he was just like, man, I got a lot of respect for Denzel, for sure.
Yep. Yeah, Denzel's awesome, man. Denzel is awesome. Like when it comes to sports, my idol, my who I always respected and looked up to sports wise was Michael Jordan. The only thing that really sucked is as I got older, realizing how many times he had extramarital situations. I
Yeah,
never knew that. Like maybe I was just being naive and just like no. But then come to find out, you hear all these stories that he did, and it was just like that part kind of let me down. I was like, man,
it
like
is. Yeah, it's a little disappointing when you hear your idols like does stuff like that.
it is, man. It did. It kind of hurt. It kind of hurt there for a little bit. But I mean, like when I was younger and stuff, just watch it. Like it was for him. The reason why I looked up to him was just his determination. Never quit. He got beat, by the bad boy Pistons 3 years in a row. Beat, and everyone was talking, oh, Jordan's there, whatever. He can't do this. And then as soon as somebody said he couldn't do something, dude, he became the best at that.
And yeah,
Like, oh, somebody that scores 30 points a game can't, be a good defender. So he averaged 35 points a game and got defensive player of the year. So he won the scoring title and defensive player. It's like, to me, that was like, man, like this dude is just his work ethic and all that kind of stuff. So I really was like, man, like that's awesome. Like the ultimate competitor, you know what I mean? There's nothing you can say he can't do. He's going to prove you wrong and he's going to do it.
yeah.
So those things were what I always liked about him. But then again, like I said, when I got older and started hearing about the other stuff, I was like, man, like that, some of my buddies were like, oh, it's all the athletes do it. And it's like, that don't make it right.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
Just
don't
because
make it
somebody
right,
jumps
man.
off a bridge doesn't mean you want to do it too.
Yep.
No, that's what I was always told. Well, if they do it, why do you want to do it? You think that makes any sense? But
So like that's that's hard when you're trying to find role models and be like, man, like I want to be, just like that. Because again, when with Jordan finding out about that, it was like, dang, like everything else is cool, but that it's hard to really find somebody that matches everything. You know what I mean?
no, especially now, it's like with social media. It comes back to that social media. I mean, everybody's business is out there, especially famous people, athletes, actors, musicians. If you did something that you didn't want to come out, it's probably going to come out. And unfortunately, that's the lifestyle. And yeah,
So I was just gonna say not to get like religious and stuff like that, but if I had to pick one role model and just one, it'd be Jesus. You know what I mean?
yeah, actually, I was going to actually ask you about that because, like, because I'm not religious. I used to be
Mhm.
a long time ago, but going through what I've gone through, especially, I could talk to this about forever, but because of what I seen my dad go through, that put a bitter taste in me as far as religion goes. So, but yeah, I'm not knocking religion. It's got good things about it. There's things that are good role models. They're moral things that they say are good. Being faithful to your wife, and they have a lot of good things to look up to. And yeah, I think there's one guy I listen to, a podcaster. He's very religious, and he does kind of um, he talks about his faith and how it's there's a lot of degenerates out there because they lost their faith, and so I can understand that point of view. But yeah, I can't really speak on it because I'm not religious at all. But
Right.
definitely there are religion, God, Jesus, stuff like that. I know a lot of people do look up to that. I think it is a good thing. I think that is a positive thing. Um,
I mean, that could always be another topic for another day. Me and you could have, man. Because for
well,
me,
yeah,
it's it that was another thing that really changed my life was seeking that. You know what I mean? Seeking God and Jesus and stuff, man. Like I'll tell you a story. This doesn't really have to. I mean, it doesn't really have to do with role models, but there was a time where family life wasn't so good, and me and my wife were arguing all the time, like, and this one in particular time we fought and argued about a Bible verse, and I thought I was right, she thought she was right, and it was bad, dude. Like I slept on the couch kind of thing.
oh wow,
And oh dude, it was over a verse, bro. Like this was before we even started going to church, before we started going to Bible study. It was before all that, and we both thought we knew everything, and we're I'm right and I'm right. And so anyway, then we are like, like it we decided to go to church one night, and it was on a Saturday, and we're driving on our way there. Jordan's in the back, and we start arguing about it again, the same verse, bro. And so
oh
I'm
man,
just like, yeah, I'm like, you know what? Screw this. I'm gonna take you guys. I'll drop you guys off. I'll go do my own thing. I'll come back on Sunday and I'll go to that service. Jordan really wanted us to go. So we went, right? I just kept driving. We ended up going. It was the weirdest thing, bro. We get out of the car, we park, mad at each other, not even looking at each other, not even talking to each other. I walk around the car, I parked whatever, walked around this way. Jordan and Christine are on this side. They walked around. We started walking up to the church. I don't know who did it first. I don't know if it was Christine. I don't know if it was me, but we both just reached out and grabbed each other's hand, and we held each other's hand. And then Jordan was on the other side, right? So we're all holding hands. We're walking in. Again, I don't even know who did it first. Like it was just one of those things. We walked in the front door of the building, right? And this feeling just like it was like we were supposed to be there. You know what I mean? Like this really good feeling just came over, and it was like, wow, this is really cool. So we walked up, we went upstairs because the downstairs was all full. We walked upstairs, sat up there. They were doing the worship music, singing, and all that. And it was just this really warm, awesome feeling. That's the only way I can explain it, man. It was just a really cool, warm feeling. The pastor comes out. First thing he says is, he's like, I got to be honest with you guys. I kept going over in my head back and forth about what I was going to preach about today. He's like, what I originally was going to preach about, I didn't want to do it anymore. I prayed on it over and over and over. And he said, this morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, no, 4 o'clock in the morning, whatever it was. He was like, I prayed and God told me that I had to speak about the same sermon I was going to give. I can't change it up. And he's like, it was really weird. He's like, I don't understand why that happened, but that's what I was told to do. God told me to do that when I was praying. And so this is what I'm going to talk about today. Bro, it was the same verse we argued about. I'm not lying. Not even kidding, bro.
No, I believe you.
The same verse, the same one verse. And that's what he
crazy.
talked about that day. Yeah, that's what he talked about that one day. Like, I'm not even gonna lie to you, man. Like, when he said that, and then he started, like, he's like, well, this is what I'm gonna preach about. This is what I was told to do. This was my original plan. Anyway, and he started talking and he opened up his Bible and started reading it. I looked at Christine. She looked at me, bro. We both started crying. Literally. It was like something, we were just like, we're supposed to be here. Like, this, we were supposed to be here. And so
Yeah.
I went up and I asked him afterwards, man. I was like, I got to go talk to this dude. Like, I have to go talk to him. And so afterwards, I was just like, man, I told him our story or whatever. And he was just like, dude, that's, he's like, this is the reason why. He's like, I have all these other people here that have been coming here for years, some for tens of years, some a week, some a month, blah, 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 blah. You guys, this is your first day here. And God told me I had to preach about this. He's like, that's why, is because this is your first experience coming to a church. This is your first experience. And it's like, that's when I knew, bro. Like, look, for me, you know what I mean? Just for me, that's when I knew. I mean, I always believed. But right then and there, I was like, it's real.
Just confirmed it.
like, it's, again, that's for me, my opinion. I was like, it is for real. And and so ever since then too, like, I don't know, man, things have just been, you go through hard times, don't get me wrong, but it's how I take those hard times, how I internalize those hard times, and how I deal with them now is completely different than before that day. And so my dad was kind of going through the same thing. He's been going through the same thing for years. My grandma, his mom died. She had a stroke, driving on. She was on the freeway doing 70. Had a stroke on the freeway, bro. She had a passenger with her, which was my aunt, older than she was, like frail. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
She's freaking out because my grandma's stroking out behind the wheel doing 70 miles an hour, and they were in the far right lane. She went unconscious. The car, dude, from the four lanes on the freeway, I-5, right? 4 lanes all the way in the fast lane. The car just slowly went over all the lanes, missed all the cars. It was like there was lots of cars out there, went off into the grass and slowed down to a complete stop. Like, the car stopped in the grass. Nobody got hurt. Everybody was safe. Yes. And so that happened to my grandma. And then so the right side of her body was paralyzed for the rest, because that's the stroke happened on. So I guess the way I was explaining it is, so if the stroke happens on your left side, the right side will go, well, you won't be able to use it anymore, and vice versa.
Yeah.
And so that happened, and she lived like that for a few years. And then she ended up passing away. And so my dad was really upset, and he was like, if there was a God or whatever, why would he let my mom go through that? You know what I mean? Like, why? I don't understand it. Why? And so I always tried to talk to him like, it's not how it works. You know what I mean? I was like, you can't be upset with God for that, man, because that comes along with, with free will is what it is. Is like, once again, I'm not trying to get all religious with you, man. This could be a conversation for a different day, but anyway,
maybe we'll do it next weekend.
That'll be cool. And then, so I was just explaining to my dad, and now it's really cool, man. The last couple of years, after just talking to him more and more about it, and having those hard conversations, he's actually coming around again and not being upset, and like starting to kind of understand and stuff. So it's really cool, man. It's been really awesome, because for years, 15 years, he's been pissed off and like upset and mad at God and saying it was his fault and all that. And so just our conversations we've had, he's starting to be like, man, maybe I was wrong and I shouldn't look at it that way. And, I was like, dude, what would have happened if, you know, her car hit another car, went and hit the side, the guardrail, car blew up and burst into flames, flipped over because it hit a car. I was like, it didn't do that, Dad. I was like, something made that car go over all those lanes and then just go in the grass and rest. Something. I don't know what it was, man. Something. She was unconscious. And the lady and my aunt who was in the car, not my real aunt, but anyway, I called her auntie. So she was in the car. She didn't do anything. She was freaking out the whole time. She said the car just did it all by itself. Just went over, missed all the vehicles, and so, and again, that's one person, my perspective on it. And so like,
Yeah.
I have this other friend who he calls me once in a while. He's talking to his buddies who are like, I have questions on this and I don't believe. And it's cool, man, because they'll call me and he'll have me talk to these other guys and tell them my perspective, like how I feel. Not saying that what you're thinking is wrong. I tell them that. I'm like, who am I to say you're wrong? You know what I mean? But this is my perspective, dude. And so it's been cool, man. We've had some really good conversations, man. And then those dudes that I've talked to, who I don't even know who they were, like never met them. They'll call me back and be like, man, what about this? I have a question on this, and so it's been cool, man. And for
Yeah,
me, it's helped me. You know what I mean?
yeah, and it's one of those things. When I started coming up with the idea of this podcast, I was like, we're going to talk about a lot of things, and part of this is me kind of going through my own life and kind of, I'm trying to be as open as I can be comfortably. Some of it's going to be a little uncomfortable, I know, but one of the things is religion. It's I believed in God growing up. We never went to church, but I believed.
I didn't
And
either.
then, yeah, but my parents never really, said we're gonna go to church. I never stepped foot in the church until I was, I think, in my 30s, and that's when my dad and my grandmother, my nana, that's when they were going. So I was like, well, I'll go with, yeah. I was uncomfortable, but I just it changed because when my dad got sick, when I was 11, my dad got sick, and I'll talk more about it maybe next weekend. But I believed until I seen things get worse, and then I seen his suicide attempts, and I seen the dark side of what Parkinson's disease does to somebody. And eventually, I gave up. I said, you know what? No, and it's not that I hate the thing. I don't hate God. I don't. It's just maybe I'm just confused. But he's an easy person to blame. Religion,
Yeah.
God, because
Yep.
my dad went through what he went through. I
Yep.
believe my dad didn't deserve it. I don't know if there's something that he did that I don't know about that maybe God saw and was like, you're going to be punished for this. I don't know, but I don't care. My dad, I seen my dad go from a strong man, a husband, a father, working his ass off. He was a drafting engineer to becoming a janitor after he got sick because at the time, this was back in the 80s, he they didn't have protections for people with diseases or anything like that. So when his job found out, they canned his ass. They're like, sorry, you just. But plus, also, if you know about Parkinson's, your motor skills or your hands are going to wobble. And he was a
Mhm.
draftsman, so his job depended on him being able to draw blueprints, diagrams, stuff like that. So on part that I can understand that, but eventually my parents divorced because my mom couldn't handle taking care of kids and my dad at the same time because he started getting worse. So my mom and my sister left, and it was just me and my dad. And I seen the bad stuff and all the dark stuff, and that's kind of what pushed me into being more angry with God. And then eventually, I just said, you know what, go fuck yourself. Pardon my French, but that was my attitude back then. Um, Now that he's passed, he's at peace. I'm just, I don't know, maybe because I've not believed in that so long, and maybe I've been so angry for so long. It's hard for me to be open minded about it. I'm not saying I'm against it. It's just right now for me, it's just kind of locked in my brain. I can't wrap my head around the whole concept. especially
Hmm.
when I see all the bad stuff that happens. And I know everything happens for a reason. And I can look at it from a different perspective, saying, you know what, if my dad hadn't gone through what he went through, maybe I wouldn't be doing this podcast. And maybe because of this podcast, maybe that turns into something bigger. Maybe it helps out a bunch of guys from doing what, maybe they shouldn't do.
Yep.
So I can look at it from that point of view, but I guess I'm still too bitter about it, seeing what my dad went through. And that's one of the reasons why I want to do this podcast, because I'm trying to be better. I'm trying to find some peace in my mind, in my heart, my life, my soul, and I know that's one of the things I'll have to have a conversation with somebody about. I've got friends that, like yourself, they're very religious, and they've talked to me, and I respect the hell out of them. But I told them all. I said, the only way I would ever believe in God is if God came down to my front door, he rang my doorbell, and I opened it. And he told me why my dad had to go through what he did, because it was such a powerful thing, and it destroyed his life. But yes, in part it destroyed my life because I was so angry because he was sick, and nobody had a cure. There's no cure for Parkinson's, but I was told that God is perfect. He is all powerful. He can
Hmm.
snap his fingers, take my dad's disease away. Just do it. I'm not asking for fucking much. Just do that for my dad. So he can be a dad to me and my sister. He can be a husband to my mom. No, that never happened. He got worse, and I seen the worst and the darkness and all the other stuff. And so, yeah, I'm going on a tangent, but yeah, we'll get
No, I
a lot
understand.
more into it.
I know.
But
I understand where you're coming from, man. Like I totally do, and I hope that because religion and politics are the two things that create more fights and create
they
animosity
do.
between
Yeah.
people. And I just want you to know that anything I ever say, man, I don't ever want you to think that it's like that with me. I'm talking to anytime I talk to you or anything I ever say to you, bro, is it's literally out of love and out of
Oh, no, no.
friendship and
Yeah.
out of like, I just don't ever want you to be like, you know what I mean? Like, if I ever, you know what I'm saying? I just don't want you to think I'm judging at all because I'm
Oh, no,
not.
no, dude. No, that's it's like I said, my other friends have said the same thing. And it's not, they're not trying to preach. They're not trying to make me feel better or anything like that. It's out of love. They
Yeah.
know what I've been through. They've seen, they know what I've been through with my dad. And they've seen the results in my anger and myself. And, and so I know they mean well. And I know, and I have all the respect for them, and I try not to be confrontational, and I try not to be aggressive or anything. It does stir up a lot of emotion in me, and I try to keep level headed and calm and stuff like that. And I've done a lot better these days, especially if I'm getting older. But no, we've known each other long enough, and I think we're good enough friends. And I know you do it. You're a good person. Otherwise, I wouldn't be talking to you. Our mutual friend Randy. It comes back to what we discussed, weeks ago, that Randy recognized you as a good person. He recognized me as a good person. We both recognize him as a good person.
Yep.
So for us to be in the same atmosphere, we have to have the same kind of constitution. We have to have the same kind of personalities, same kind of morals, the values, stuff like that. We may have different backgrounds, different lifestyles, but at the core of who we are, we're good people. We were
Yep.
raised that way, um, and we believe in different things. So yeah,
Yep.
it's anything. And when we get into it next weekend, it's I know it's nothing personal between either of us. It's not to
Perfect.
me mean. I may come off sound like an asshole sometimes, just because
That's all.
it is
No
it is
worries,
a
man.
thing. Just a forewarning. But I
No
also
problem.
know, but I also know you come from a place of love, and that's why I can talk to you about it. I
Yeah.
I think I don't have very few people I can talk to about it. And I was actually, funny thing is, I was telling my buddy's son today when I was talking to him. There are some things that I could talk to his dad about that I couldn't talk to, my best friend Eric, who I've known since I was 6. You know,
Yeah.
you just have
Yep.
that kind of connection with some people. Some people, I love Eric to death. He is my big brother. He was one of my role models growing up. Just because he was my big brother. Um, I take a bullet for that guy and I give a liver or cancer, or a kidney or whatever. But, talking to him about religion is something I couldn't talk to him about really because he was kind of like me. He was kind of, he didn't really believe until recently. He actually started believing. So, but there's, I don't know. It's just, you have different relationships and different conversations with people.
So for me, it's like I'm not super religious, man. I'm more the way I look at it is I'm more spiritual. Like I know that there's things out there that I know, like for me again, this is just my personal experience and my belief. I know for myself God is real. I know Jesus is real. And again, I'm not the religious. I'm like I don't go to church every 3 4 days a week.
Yeah.
I'm not reading the Bible every single day, which I should, because the closer you are to God, God's word, the closer you are to him. But I'm just more on the spiritual level, like of what, like Jesus, man, like just you want to talk about somebody that, if you had a role model, it'd be that dude, man, like literally. And I believe that he was real. I truly do. And again, it's more of a spiritual thing, man. And stuff I told my dad is like, we'll talk about this next week too, but the more you want God to do things for you, the closer you have to be to him, the more you have to seek him out and ask for those things, like truly seek him out. I mean, that's what I've learned anyway in my life, is that if we're just sitting back and be like, it's like I want my dad to do something, but I never talk to him. I don't have a relationship with him. I don't speak to him. I don't ask him for anything. It's never going to happen. It just
Yeah.
never will. I can want it to I can want it to so much, but if I don't seek it out and go talk to that person and be like, "Hey man, this is what I need," and build that relationship, it will never happen. And that's what I've learned with God. And again, my mom went through breast cancer. I saw her at her weakest. I saw her, chemo and
Yeah.
radiation, bro. And like I went through a very dark time at that point in my life also. And my mom actually was, as she was going through all that, I was bitching and complaining. And my mom told me, she was like, do you say why do I hear you say all the time about how unlucky you are and you're always bitching and complaining about the things that you don't have or the things that didn't go your way? She's like, how come you don't ever be thankful and be grateful for all the things that you do have and the things that have gone your way? And I was like, that was like the biggest knockout uppercut punch coming from my mom, who's going through what she's going through. And she said that to me, and I was just like, wow, you know what I mean? Like that, dude, that really opened my eyes. And I was like, so then I started sitting there and thinking about it. All the things that I've gotten lucky with, all the things I've gotten away with. I mean, just dumb stuff, dude. And I'm like, wow. You know what I'm saying? Like, and
Yeah.
it hit me, man. I started really thinking about that. And from that point on, for me, I just don't do the whole woe is me thing anymore. If something bad happens, something happens, I'm like, for one, there was a reason for it. I have to find the reason. Like I have to find out, why did it happen? Number two is, if I can get through that bad thing that happened, whatever it is, if I can get through it, and it for sure it helped me in some way. I have to figure out what that was. How did that help me? Did it make me stronger in this way? Did it make me a better person in this way? Did it make me change how I'm doing something? Like I always try to find that. And that, dude, just to be honest with you, that has helped me so much in life, dude. Is to be a glass half full guy, not a glass half empty. It's like, I don't know, man. Like there's so many things I could be upset with that just come up. And it seems like when they come up, it's like over, just a bunch of stuff, just boom, 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 boom. With Randy, bro, probably the hardest time I've ever had. Not even going, like the hardest time I went through. Just a few weeks before that, my aunt passed away. Very close with my aunt. Very close with her. She lives down here at the beach. She passed away and she was suffering. And we did get to go say goodbye to her. She wasn't awake, but I know she could. I know she heard us. I know she felt our presence, and I know she heard us. Got to go say goodbye to her. Was dealing with that. Boom. 2 weeks later, I get the call from Jen saying it's not looking so good. And it's like I just knew in my heart, I knew he was going to be okay. I knew he was going to come out of it. I knew he was going to be coming home, and everything was going to be fine. So So when he was there in the hospital, like he would send me text messages and they were like jumbled. Words didn't make sense. Words
Yeah.
were so you know what I'm saying? Okay.
I got the same Texas.
And so I'm sitting here reading this, and in my mind, I'm like, damn, he's not okay. Like, but the other side of me is like, it's nothing. He's gonna pull through. It's like I didn't want to accept it. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, he's gonna be just fine, man. And so he started talking, like some of the text messages he started talking about weren't religious, but were spiritual, I guess. And so
Yeah.
what I did then every day, I would wake up and I'd send Randy like a verse, an encouraging verse from the Bible or whatever. And from what his responses were to him, it helped him. I think he really enjoyed him and liked him. And I would send him to him all the time, man. And then what really did it for me is one of the pictures that Jen took. I think Jen took it, and she sent it to me. And he was Randy holding that wood cross in his
Oh yeah.
hospital bed,
Yep.
in the hospital bed.
Yeah. I remember that.
I don't know the whole story behind it. I don't know how he got it. I don't know who gave it to him. But all I know is that Jen said once he got it, he never let go of it. It was in his hand all day, every single day. And the talks that me and Randy would have in text message, because he didn't, the couple of times I talked to him actually on the phone, it was just like he couldn't talk. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And so we just mostly did texting. And so just hearing that, I'm like, I feel that, he accepted Jesus, accepted God. And that's what I look forward to. I know when I go, my thing is I'll see him again. I'll be able to hang out with him again. I'll be able to talk trash with him again. Me and him can go take a ride in his truck again. Like, you know what I'm like? That's what, for me, bro, that's what I've learned and that's what I've seen. And that's what has impacted me over all these years with everything that's been going on and all of that. And then, like I said, to see that was such a hard time for me, man, that I very well could have just been like, oh, it's screwed. Like, mad at God. You're not real. This is what, but it wasn't, man. For me, it was the opposite because she sent me that picture of him holding that cross, dude. And I knew right then, I was like, okay, that's, what I'm from. Again, it's just my experience with it. And so like for me, I was very like, it was refreshing, man. I was like, okay, I'm going to see him again. Like I'm going to hang out with my boy again.
Yeah. Because I told people I'm not atheist, I'm not agnostic, anything like that. But for me, I know there's something out there after life. After we die, we
Yeah.
go somewhere. I know that. I just the universe is too complex. It's too big. There's a lot of unknowns. You
Yeah.
know, but for me to label it God, I can't do that right now. Maybe someday. I don't know. But for me, I know there's something out there left. I mean, there's something after death. I know I'm going to see my dad again. I know we're going to hang out with Randy again. So it's not like I'm not agnostic where we just die and that's it. There's nothing else. I definitely do believe that there is something out there. To label it God, I can't do that right now. Um, but yeah, but on the other side, I gotta be honest. I am envious of people who have that faith because they seem like they're they're more at peace than me, and that's
For
where
me,
I'm
for
trying to go.
sure.
And
For sure.
I'm trying to find that peace because my life has been so full of anger and hate and bitterness and stuff like that. And I'm finally like, I give it to the people who have that faith. They seem a lot more at peace than I ever have been, and it's something I definitely do envy about.
What if, bro? What if me and you
Yeah.
met each other? What if me and you met each other through Randy for a conversation like this? How crazy is that shit, bro? That's
That is
that's the
true.
things I think about, man. Like I love having these conversations. I don't know everything. So there's gonna be questions you might have or you'll ask that I don't know the answer
Well,
to.
yeah, yeah,
But I can only give my experience. I can only tell you how I feel and what's helped me and stuff. And man, I mean, this might sound super stupid and you might be in the back of your head like, jackass, idiot. But I'm just like, what if you inviting me on these podcasts and then next week we actually do have this kind of a conversation and who knows, maybe you're going to be able to teach me some stuff about how you look at things. I'll be able to teach you stuff about how I look at things. And what if, bro, what if that's the one step to get you closer, man?
It
What
might
if,
be. I can't. Yeah, I can't. I
you know what
can't
I'm
say.
saying?
Yeah, I can't say it's
How
not
crazy
gonna
would that
happen.
be, bro?
Yeah, it's very. It's. I guess I've been so pessimistic about everything in my life, and when I've gone to church and I've talked to people who are religious, it feels like they're more preaching. But that's why I feel more comfortable talking to like you or
Hmm.
my other friends who are religious, because I trust their input, and I trust the way that they handle things and their experience. I believe them more than I will believe, some other Joe that I don't know, because I don't have a history with them.
It's not
I don't know
genuine.
where. Yeah, it's not genuine. That's why that's why I'm trying to do these podcasts with friends, because it's more genuine, it's more authentic. We can be real with each other. We have history. It hits more closer to home, and I think from my
Yeah.
point of view, it helps me try to work through my own issues. Last 40 years, and because I was telling my buddy's son, I was like, I've tried therapy, I've tried drugs, I've tried medication, I've tried all these different things, and it's not helping me get where I need to go. And so one of the reasons why I started this podcast is like, you know what? It's because therapeutic for myself. And the only way I'm gonna, the only way I feel comfortable being able to do that is by being open with my friends, the people that I
Yeah.
trust, the people I've relied on in my life, who I know are not going to judge me because I did this or I did that. Um, they're not going to try to belittle me because I don't believe in God. They're not going to try to sell me a pitch. I know they're going to be just genuine and honest with me from their perspective, their honest experience, and I can take that to heart. I can make it. I believe it more coming like from you than some preacher that I've never met in my life. You know, because I
And I'm
trust.
not, and I'll never preach to you, bro. I don't want you to ever think that. Like, that's
Oh no,
not
no.
me.
I'm just
Like,
using that as kind of an example. It's
yeah,
just
I just
whatever.
want, yeah.
Yeah, your experience. I put more faith in your experience than I do in a preacher that goes to church 3 times a week and sleeps on top of his Bible, and he can quote every single word in all the Bibles. You know, but that's, for me, that's important, and that's because my friends have been the biggest part of my life. That's who I value their experience and opinion above everybody else's. That's who I am. So no, I think it's going to be a good conversation with you. I think it's going to help me in probably ways I can't even begin to realize.
I'm
Um,
excited, man. I'm honestly very, very excited, bro. And I think that it's an honor for me that you want to have that kind of a conversation that could be uncomfortable, but you're willing and wanting to have that conversation with me, man. That means a lot to me as a friend of yours. Like, that shows it shows trust, it shows respect,
yeah,
and it shows that you know that I'm not gonna, you know what I'm saying? I'm not the type of person. I'm not going to look down on you. I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to preach to you. I'm none of that, bro. I will literally tell you my experience. If you like it and you want to ask more questions, ask it. If you think it's a load of whatever, then that's cool too. I'm still going to like you. You're still my friend. I still respect you. Like, that's not going to go anywhere. You know what I mean? And so for you to be willing to do that and be like, hey, let's do that next weekend. Like, that's awesome. That's an honor, man. Like, that's what this is all about, bro. Is as I've learned over the years is, for me, I don't go to church and stuff like that. I don't read the Bible like I should, but it's spiritual, man. And if you seek it, it just, dude, I don't know, you just feel so much better, man. And if I was like I keep saying, I don't ever want to get into it and publicly get into it, but I wasn't a good person back in the day. And if God can find me and Jesus can find me, dude, they find anybody, bro. They find anybody, dude. You just gotta look.
that's what I've
You
heard.
gotta seek.
Yeah, that is true. No, I look
That's
forward
and
to
that's
next weekend. We'll
me
definitely
too,
we'll
bro.
definitely talk about it.
Cool.
It
That
was
sounds
one of those,
awesome, man.
like you said, politics and religion really stirs up a lot of emotion, and
Those are the
you
two
know,
quickest fight starters.
yeah, exactly. So politics is something I'm trying to avoid right now, because I know we may get into it at some point, but it's not what this podcast is about. It's about helping other people,
Yep.
and that's 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 a subject I don't really want to get down to. But religion, it can be a part of somebody, a big part of somebody, and I think it's important. And especially, to people that may be in my spot, maybe they have
Yeah.
questions, maybe they have, I believed in God. I prayed to God after my dad got sick for months, every frickin' night. I was praying. I was begging for my dad to get better, and I lost that,
Yep.
Maybe in the back of my mind, I still hope there's a God. Maybe I hope there's something, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, I'm butting my head against it and going, I'm not going to acknowledge it. I'm not going to believe it. It's just, maybe that'll change. Can't promise anything, but I definitely, I definitely look forward to talking about it, because I think even just talking about it's going to help a lot.
Just you acknowledging that right there, just acknowledging the fact of, you said that you were looking forward to next weekend. That right there is that's a huge step in the right direction, bro. I mean, that's awesome, man. And again, dude, I'm not gonna say I know everything, bro. Like when I have these conversations, like I was saying, one of my other buddies, his name's Randy. He calls me and he'll be like, "Hey, I want you to talk to so and so. They're having a hard time." Like, again, I'm not saying that I know everything. I like to talk about this because I like to show other people what it's done for me and the things that have helped me out. And some of these guys I've talked to, that his buddies, they're just like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't look at it that way," or I didn't think about it like that," or, "Oh, I was completely wrong about this." And so again, for like, I'm not religious, bro. Like I'm not one of those Bible thumping religious, which I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm not saying
Yeah,
that's bad. I'm not saying that's good or bad. For me, it's more of a spiritual thing, man. It's more of a, I should read the Bible more. I should. I mean, I should, because that's the word of God, right? That's how you learn about God, is reading his word. And so, but there's also a lot of stuff that I've been finding out, man, that they've taken out, and they taken verses out of the Bibles on purpose. And we did a test on this. A buddy of
oh,
mine,
really?
no joke. Oh, this is no joke.
Oh, wow.
He has a Bible super old, bro. Super old. We're talking like 1800s old. And he was going through the verses in that one, and then I broke mine out. So much is not in it. And I think that's on this. I think that is by design as well, bro. I think that they do that on purpose, like
Yeah,
on purpose.
yeah,
And so it's one of those things, man, that it's a rabbit hole that we could go down. And it's I think it's interesting. I love learning about that stuff. All the books that are not in the Bible, that they didn't publish, that they have hidden, that you can get them, you can get them, you can go find them, but they're not in there for a reason, man. Like there's some gnarly stuff that it talks about in there, man. And yeah, so it's a crazy subject, dude.
yeah, definitely. So real quick, I gotta get to bed here pretty quick. Switching gears, we'll talk real quick about AI. What do you think about AI?
I don't like it. I don't trust it.
Yeah,
I seen
I'm
the
the
man. I
same way.
seen the movie Judgment Day, bro. I seen Terminator 2. I don't trust it.
Yeah, my
No,
whole-
I'm
my
just
whole thing, my whole thing is I want, because I drive truck all day. I get to listen and stream in through Spotify and all these other places through my radio. I get to listen to a lot of documentaries, a lot of talk radio and stuff like that. And the thing that scares me is they have these. There's three things that really bother me. The super AI, there's quantum computing, and then there's robotics. You put those three together, and you get Judgment Day, and
bad
that
news.
stuff, that stuff is happening faster than I ever thought it would. There was just the other day, Melania Trump came out. She walked out, and this damn robot
Was in
was
front of her.
walking next to her, and
Yep.
it was like a real press meeting. I think it was in the White House, hundreds of people there, and this robot come walking out, and then walked around the table, and then came around to the front and talked,
And it
and then
talked in all the
after,
other languages.
yeah, and it talked in all the other languages, and I was like, this can't be fucking happening. And then the robot turned around, walked around, and then walked out, and I was like, I'm just like, this stuff, 10 years, this is gonna be normal. This is going to be crazy. And then I'm a big sci-fi guy, so
Me
science
too.
and stuff like that has always fascinated me. And like super AI is going to be super advanced, a lot more powerful than what we have now. Quantum computing is really crazy. They're on the verge of really getting that because you got regular computing, which is like ones and zeros. It's lines of code, right? It's one after zero after one. You just that's all you see. From what I understand, if I can, I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but from what I understand, quantum computing puts the one and the zero in the same spot. So it makes it like a million times more faster, more powerful, instead of having lines of code and because when you ask your computer to do something, it sits there and it's processing, it's running code, and then it gives you an answer. This thing will be like almost instantaneously. Now you put the AI, the advanced AI, with quantum computing, put those together, and then you put it in an android or a robot or something. You got Judgment Day, and you're going to get the wrong people getting this kind of technology, creating a lot of chaos and a lot of damage. I think that's what scares me the most.
That's what I'm afraid of. That's why I don't trust it. I think for certain things, it's a great tool if it was
Yeah.
used like. This is gonna sound cliche, dude, but if it was used for good, like yeah, it's awesome, like that stuff. But I don't like it, man. I think I again, it's gonna sound funny saying this, but I think it's evil. I really do. I think there's so much evil and so much destruction and so much bad stuff that could and potentially will happen with this. Because I mean, I know these are all movies, but have you ever seen iRobot?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so
Funny.
I
Yep.
get they're just movies, right? These are just movies, but I have been watching different documentaries on people back that are no longer here, mysteriously have passed away, mysteriously are gone, and they have warned forever, dude, that what you watch in movies are a precursor to what's coming because they're trying to get you normalize, they're trying to normalize you and get you
Yeah.
to accept it way in advance. Because you'll like we just brought up iRobot. We just brought up Terminator 2. We're like, oh man, we've seen those movies. And then if it happens or when it happens in real life, you've already seen it. So it's like you accept it. Does that make sense?
No, it's the analogy of the frog in the boiling water. If
Yep.
you have a pot of boiling water, you throw a frog in it, it jumps out right away. But if you put a frog in a cold pot of water and slowly
And
turn the heat up,
slowly turn it
a little
up.
bit at a time, a little bit at a time, it's not going to know any different. And before you know it, it's dead. And it's that same concept. It's you slowly
So
introduce these things, and
So that analogy right there, I love because yeah, I use that too. That's perfect. And then another
yeah,
one that I was told too is the way that we are being led um, through technology and through the AI and all this was it's kind of like the same thing with the frog in the pot. But you have a dog, right? And let's say your dog is it has a big yard and it has this really long chain, right? It's on a chain like a chain, right? It can run around and do all this, but as far as the chain goes, as far as the dog can go every week you go out to that chain and take one link out of that chain every week until now all of a sudden the chain is this long and that dog is stuck to a tree and it can't move anymore. But the dog didn't know it was happening because you only took one link a week out of this chain. All of a sudden this dog had all this room to run and all this freedom and everything like that. Now all of a sudden after week by week by week by week taking a chain out could take years. Who knows how long the chain is, right? Now all of a sudden this dog is stuck. No more freedom, no more not being able to roam anymore. And it's stuck, dude. And it's stuck to that tree. Now that that dog is stuck to that tree, it depends on whoever put him there. And if that
yeah,
person that put him there is just leaves that, the dog dies. The dog's gone because that dog is now dependent because it can't roam. It can't go. Like when I heard that oh man, I was just like, damn, dude, like that put it into perspective. And the frog and boiling water, those two are like, I'll never forget those. Like that's what I like for me. It, dude, I'm just like that is such an eye opener.
yeah. I've actually never heard that analogy that you just said, but it makes complete sense. I mean, it's just that. Yeah, it's you get used to something and it just slowly starts getting taken away, and it could take
And it's
years.
your owner. It's your
Yeah,
owner
it's
who
your
does
owner.
it.
Yeah, our so-called government. It's
It
the
there.
owners of the world. It's the
Yep.
people behind the scenes.
Exactly.
And that's another
That's
video.
another topic.
That's another topic we can probably talk for hours on.
Oh,
Um,
days.
Days, yeah, because I got a conspiracy mind myself. So,
I
but
love conspiracies, bro.
yeah, I do too. Some of them are too silly, but some of them are like,
Yeah.
you know what? Some of them come true. And I'm like, yeah, who's the conspiracy nut now? That shit's
Right.
coming true. You know,
Exactly.
but anyway, it's getting late. I'm
Yeah.
2 hours ahead of you, so I gotta get up and do the work thing. But I
No
appreciate you
problem,
coming
man.
on here, and
Of course.
I definitely look forward to it next week, and
Me
definitely have a
too.
conversation and go from there. So,
Sounds good, bro.
all right, man. Well, you have a good night,
You
and
do
we'll
the
talk
same, bro.
again
Have a good
soon.
day. Have a good day tomorrow too at work.
We'll do, bro.
All right. We'll see you next weekend.
All right, man.
Later.
Later.